It's 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, you put those two ideas together. Really, jobless claims are going to have new import as the Federal Reserve has talked about a softening in the labor market that has been actually more marked recently that they're trying to address with rate cuts. Yes, Chris Waller has already been on the tape saying he wants a rate cut. He wanted one, actually, at the most recent Fed meeting. He will be cutting, or he'll be voting to cut, I'm sure, in September. But what he says and how he messages his caution going forward about some sort of rate cutting path will actually be market moving because of what you just said, because of the expectation that his voice carries a bit more clout.
He's setting the tone for this committee right now. He's setting the tone for the chairman of the Federal Reserve. You said it, Monday, straight out of the gate. That speech on Friday from Chairman Powell in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, sounded like a speech written by Governor Waller.
It was like Governor Waller wrote the speech for Jay Powell and said, this is what you need to read in Jackson Hole, because Jay Powell 4 weeks prior wasn't that worried.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
At this moment with this concern
Describe what you want.
But also when it comes to tariffs, it's going to be staggered in terms of when the impact might hit. So basically, giving the market, investors, a chance to just ignore it. The CPI prints we might get, hot, not hot, look through them.
Everyone on that committee right now believes that we are restrictive. So this move in September in many ways is actually quite easy. Drop 25 basis points. It gets harder and harder over time because other people will start to say, actually, I don't think we are sufficiently restrictive anymore. That's when the pushback begins. So it's September, easy. From there, it gets harder into 26, and then you've got the change in May. So there's like 3 different periods here. You've got the September decision, you've got the call between September and May, and then you've got life after Chairman Powell. Life after Chairman Powell could look very different.
Yeah, big question mark, I think, for a lot of people, especially because we don't know who is going to put in his stead. You talk about a phrase that you hate, so I'm going to repeat it ad nauseum, hawkish cut. And are we going to see some sort of signaling going forward that this is going to be not necessarily one and done, but one and then just another one, and then just sort of wait and see? That's the key question for anyone who replaces Fed Chair Jay Powell. What is the reaction function if the inflation data comes in hotter? Do they stop cutting? Are they prepared to hike rates? Or are they prepared to look through that and maybe look to yield curve control or beyond? That's when the market might start to wake up.
And this is the changes potentially we can expect with monetary policy. We don't even know if Chair Powell, though, will stick around and basically hover around the Fed and keep his seat as a governor. All of this is also taking place while the president is ousting a governor that as soon as today we can get this injunction. We don't even know if she's going to be there in September to vote. So even though we're talking about changes in monetary policy, tremendous amount of changes when it comes to personnel.
If you are just joining us, welcome to the program. Coming into Thursday, record highs on the S&P 500. Futures this morning almost totally unchanged. Coming up this hour, we'll catch up with Matt Stuckey of Northwestern Mutual as markets try to shake off Nvidia earnings. John Vinn of KeyBank Capital Markets after raising his outlook on the tech giant, and Nita Richardson of ADP as we break down the latest jobs data at 8:30 Eastern Time. We begin this hour with stock steady despite Nvidia shares slipping post-earnings. Matt Stuckey, the chief portfolio manager at Northwestern Mutual, writes the following: weakness in the near-term reaction is likely to be short-lived, or short-lived, as they might say, over at the Federal Reserve. Have we cleared that up yet?
Well, look,
it's short-lived.
Short-lived,
We
short-lived.
say short-lived. I think that the correct academic interpretation is short-lived.
Okay.
Which takes out a new connotation saying, I am an economist.
Forgive me for totally derailing this. Let me start this again. Matt Stuckey, the chief portfolio manager at Northwestern Mutual, writes the following: weakness in the near-term reaction is likely to be short-lived, and more likely a function of elevated expectations and bullish positioning heading into the print. OK. Matt, welcome to the programme, sir. Why do you think the market is shaking this off? Why is there some comfort with that deceleration?
Well, I think as you're looking at the quarter, it was right down the middle of the fairway, controlling what they control outside of the H20 revenue with China. I think the bigger picture to me, I think, is you look at just the revisions higher in terms of what the addressable market for NVIDIA has been. Specifically, I'm talking about what the hyperscalers are expected to spend in 2026. Just in the second quarter alone, those expectations have risen by another 19% on top of the 20% that we saw in Q1. And so what we're seeing here is just a continued rise in terms of the demand profile for NVIDIA. And so it comes down to, are they able to continue to build enough supply to meet demand? And so a little bit of an inline guidance to inline print as it relates to kind of more the buy side of expectations to me is just a signal that NVIDIA continues to execute well in this market.
So Matt, you still see this as a supply constrained story potentially, and not necessarily a story of weaker demand in the future?
I do. I think if you kind of go around and listen to conference calls, listen to what leaders in AI are talking about, everyone's still talking about how they're short compute capacity, how they could continue to grow if they had more NVIDIA chips to utilize in terms of their data centers. And we expect that to continue to be the case, at least for the next few quarters.
Is it one or the other in terms of an investment strategy that you're either all in on big tech or you're all in on small caps, and I'm saying all in, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, this idea that you're either overweight big tech or you're bullish on small caps, and you got to pick one or the other?
I'm not sure why you can't have both. To hedge out a couple of different outcomes as it relates to the economy. One thing that we know in terms of kind of how small caps can perform is, the increase in expectations that the Federal Reserve will start to ease policy again is good for small caps. I think having some exposure there makes a lot of sense. However, we are a little bit later in an economic cycle. And if you're looking for companies that are higher quality in terms of their margin structure, their balance sheet health, as well as their perceived kind of more insensitivity to the ebbs and flows of the economy, it's in mega cap tech. And so you can hedge both sides of that distribution a little bit just in terms of how stylistically you're building your equity exposure.
It's really interesting that you point that contradiction in the expectation for rate cuts and the expectation for ongoing resilience. Is that the way that you're squaring that circle? The idea that there is probably a bit of truth to both. You're not sure which one is going to rule out, so just going to hedge at this point.
All right. Well, I'm setting up the charts and getting ready. Someone in the Discord wanted some indicators to get their chart rolling. Are you out there?
We are still kind of
Ryrie
through the
from Discord
tariff levels, and if you're looking at kind of where tariff levels sit today, they're not fully reflected yet in terms of kind of what is stated on paper versus what actually is being charged at the ports yet. And so as inventories are replenished, we don't know the ultimate economic outcome of that. Additionally, the state of the labor market, might firm up, it might not. And so having diversification to different styles of what could potentially perform well in a variety of economic backdrops, I think makes sense if you're an investor here.
Speaking of tariffs, and John's been bringing this point up all week, we could potentially get the IEEPA court decision.
I just put a message in the general chat and Discord.
Down what the president is doing in terms of using IEEPA to set tariff rates.
Well, markets tend to dislike uncertainty in any form. I think if the ruling comes back that this is something that's going to be discontinued on a go-forward basis, there's still other avenues for tariffs to come back into the foray. And I think that's probably where markets will ultimately land in terms of just the ongoing expectation that tariffs in some form, either through the IEEPA or through another kind of function, are going to be higher than where we started this year. Maybe not all the way up to 18-19%, but still quite a bit elevated versus the 2% plus that we were to start 2025.
When it comes to trade policy, China is, of course, still in negotiations with the United States. One of the biggest chips the U.S. is using is chips, NVIDIA. Can we just go back to that? How are you actually thinking about what NVIDIA might be able to sell at some point into Beijing? And does it concern you that some of those profits they're going to have to somehow get back to the U.S. government to bring down the deficit, according to the Treasury Secretary?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're an investor in NVIDIA here, you kind of think about it as, upside potential versus kind of base case part of the story. In terms of what Jensen was talking about on the call yesterday, they view it as a $50 billion revenue opportunity growing 50% per year. So it's a very large market. And so the ability to penetrate just a fraction of that is upside in my mind as it relates to NVIDIA. And just to put a little finer point on that, NVIDIA got into 54 billion of revenue in the third quarter, with the potential for another 5 billion plus of H20 revenue if they can start to get some of these issues resolved in terms of the ability to place product into that market.
Matt Stuckey, appreciate catching up with you, sir. Matt Stuckey there of Northwestern Mutual. Wealth management, Nvidia still recovering, down by only 1% at the moment. Futures on the S&P just about green. Dan Ives of Wedbush on the program earlier said we're going to finish green, I think, on Nvidia by the end of today.
Based on where it was last night after earnings in after hours, I will just say this is basically green. I mean, can we just say that right now, down 1% is basically green after a 35% gain so far? Well, it's, you know, changing to green.
Okay, I can go with that if you want. I mean, is that what you want me to do?
No, I actually just think it's really remarkable how far the stock has come, how high expectations were, and the fact that we're seeing such a muted reaction is considered a win, and certainly something that people are taking and saying, this isn't something to spook you.
Because inline typically would be considered a massive miss over Nvidia.
Well, especially given the fact that expectations are so high and people always look for massive beats, the fact that they shrug this off indicates people are somewhat comfortable.
Stock is down by 1% in the pre-market. I'm with you. We're on the same page.
It's basically green.
Futures, basically green, unchanged, but basically green. Let's get you an update on stories elsewhere this morning with your Bloomberg brief. Here's Yahira. Hey, Yahira.
Hi, John. As you all said, Nvidia trimming its losses. Shares are down just 1% in the pre-market now. The chipmaker gave a tepid revenue forecast for the current period.
Steakmeister. What's up, brother?
Accelerating after a staggering 2-year boom in AI spending. Nvidia
I think I got everything. All I got to do is post the last 2 days trade journal, and I think I'm caught up.
Meanwhile, the Mexican government is planning
How you doing, buddy?
tariffs on China, fulfilling
At everyone? How do you do that?
Here at Bloomberg, the tariff hikes are expected for imports, including cars and textiles, as Mexico aims to shelter domestic.
How do you do at everyone?
From subsidized Chinese competition. And in sports, the 4th day of the U.S. Open wrapping up yesterday with Arena Sabalenka, Ben Shelton, and Carlos Alcaraz all cruising into the
At the end of the message, you just, oh, okay, and it automatically does it. So when I say, like, we are live, let's get started for the trading day, and then space at everyone, then everyone gets it.
More from Yahira later this hour. Up next on the program, the morning calls. As analysts sustain.
Okay, cool. Thanks, brother. All right, I'll do that tomorrow. I think we're good though. I think we're rolling. I just got to get the chart going, and then I got to go over and do my trade journal posts. And then this weekend I got to run up to my dad's in New York, and I'm gonna be up there for a week. But when I get back, I'm going to still make sure I do the trade journal every day, and I'm going to broadcast from up there. I'm going to bring my whole setup. I'm making a whole travel setup. Hey, Nash Forex. What's up, brother?
You can't be any geek off the street.
Thanks for following.
Got to be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
You got to be handy with those entries, if you know what I mean. You got to earn your keep around here. Forecast traders, mount up. What's up, Nash? You want to watch some futures today with us? Oh, that's Bloomberg. It'll be on the screen in a little bit. I'm doing the chart setup, and then we watch and listen to Bloomberg all day. And I, we watch for news events. I have all the listed news events we go over, so that we're not in trades during that time. And then I have my custom strategy, and I call out trades all day and analyze the NQ and ES futures. And we focus on prop firm trading, so you don't have to risk your own capital. So that's kind of what we do here. We're trying to not spend any of our own money to get funded and get paid through prop firms using the NQ and ES futures. I have a paid account through Lilu. I'm setting up my ES chart now. If you want to hang out for a little bit and ask some questions and hang out, we got a Discord too. I started last week. A bunch of the guys hang out in there. I'm trying to add more information. Over the next month or so, I should have it pretty filled out with everything you need to understand what we're doing here. Have you ever done futures?
Vibrant resources and high yield investment opportunities abound. Join me on
all right, man, we're pinging right off the all-time highs, aren't we? Sheesh.
Now weekdays, only on Bloomberg.
The godfather of AI, Jensen Nvidia, continue to dominate this.
You do mostly Forex stuff? I've never messed with Forex.
I mean, if you look at these numbers, especially when you factor in what China is going to be, I mean, you know, Jensen talked about 50 billion, 50% type growth number. This just shows
That's a pretty clean trend line, isn't it?
adoption is actually just starting. I think this stock is green today.
It's not far off this morning. That was down
Okay. Have you done any trading before that?
Dan, still bullish.
Like futures or options? There's a lot of options guys here that follow along. It's what I'm doing is kind of relevant for what they do because the charts are identical, you know. It's the same market. It's just a different way of trading it.
So far this morning. That's the price action. Let's
But
get some money calls with one stock in focus, Nvidia.
if you want to learn about futures, hang out here. And throughout the day, I'll explain what we're doing. After watching for a couple days, you'll kind of get it and then ask questions. Yeah, do you know who Richard Hart is? Do you know like PulseX and Pulse Chain? Pulse and Richard Hart and Hex? That's the only crypto I've ever gotten into. I missed the boat. I missed the boat on Bitcoin when Bitcoin was under $50, unfortunately.
Bloomberg Intelligence joins us now for more. Mandeep, good morning.
Morning.
Do we need China?
Oh, you know him? Yeah, I'm a Richard Hart maximalist. Not really, but I don't really mess with crypto a lot. But I sacrificed for PulseX, and I've added cents, and I'm just hanging on to it. I watch it every day. I don't pump it or anything. I just that's my play. You know, for crypto, that's kind of my play.
600 billion, 50% growth, and it's
Play,
sustained.
that's my play. Play,
Nvidia's exposure
all right.
to the hyperscalers.
How's this level look, Steakmeister? You think we need to adjust this one? This looks good. This looks good. I don't know about this level anymore. It's good there.
Grow 50%. So to my mind, this is like suggesting Microsoft's
I'll leave it
CapEx
for now.
is going to grow at least 50% next year. So will Meta. Amazon and Alphabet are smaller.
All right, this is the ES chart, Nash. This is the S&P 500 futures contract.
A lot of repercussions for the rest of the market.
There's two contracts. There's the micro and the mini.
The idea that the entire Nvidia revenue depended.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're a little blurred. You notice they're a little blurred this morning. The levels, like this level's a little. I don't really necessarily know if this level's relevant, but I'm going to leave it. This one's still okay. This one's still okay. You know, all of these could have been here for a long time. You know, I don't know about this one, but we'll see as it comes down. If we blow through this on the way down, then I'll just redraw it tomorrow. But we're okay for now.
To my mind, this is the one risk, the biggest risk. Everything else looked great. The commentary.
But hey, if you want to join Discord, Nash, and hang out, that's cool. How do you think the market is going to react to third quarter economy recap?
What if Meta decides to go with its own chips?
Well,
I think that risk is there.
I mean, let's talk about next year.
It's gonna are we gonna get? So my question would be, I think the third quarter is kind of baked in, and I think what we're gonna do in the fourth quarter is if we're really gonna get two Fed rate cuts. You know what I'm saying? Are we gonna get both rate cuts this quarter before the end of the year? You know what I'm saying?
No doubt that they're executing very well ex-China.
Mandy, stay close. I want to bring in
If they continue to fight Trump and they force the administration to go to war with the Fed publicly, it's going to be a chop fest. If they just give in and just start reducing rates like they should have done 8 or 9 months ago, then we're going to the moon. And I think that's what really matters. I think the third quarter is in the books. You know what I mean? That's just what I think. If you know, off the top of my head. You know, I listen to like 3 news sources all day long, so that's kind of just, you know, just from taking in the information and analyzing it without having a bias on politics or anything. That's kind of what I think.
The AI pie for Nvidia. But I think near the medium term, you know, the setup looks very clean.
All right, I'm setting up my strategy now. This is a custom-made strategy with NinjaTrader. What broker do you use, Nash? Do you have like a broker?
some of these
where you chart.
hyperscalers matter all the more, and this dependence on Mark Zuckerberg's wallet is concerning for some people. Is that
I'll try and get
concerning
you
for
up to speed with the rest of the guys that hang out all day.
Not in the longer term. You know, certainly could
want.
there be a hiccup where, as you had stated, maybe there could be a moment.
Currently, I'm
of
using
discipline
Hero
in the medium term,
FX.
maybe he tightens up his
Okay.
CapEx budget
So
for next
if just,
year.
I'm not like,
But
I'm not
the
selling
AI
anything,
CapEx
you know,
spending
I'm
is
just
driving
showing you what I
acceleration
do.
of growth
This
for
is
these
Ninja
major
Trader. I've always
hyperscalers. They're
used
in an
Ninja
arms race
Trader.
right now, and they know that if they let up,
I've never really used another
you know,
chart
it could be
service like,
a risk to their long-term business model.
There was a time when
you know,
people
the guy I
were
kind of,
confident
I got,
before,
you know,
but
the guy I kind of
for
like
other companies outside
got
of the
introduced,
hyperscalers, outside
you
of
know,
the
when I
tech
got
stocks
introduced to the
entirely,
markets and
to
what you can do
adopt
with futures and
artificial
stuff.
intelligence
He
and
was
really
using
go
Ninja
after
Trader, so
for
that's,
some of
I
NVIDIA's
just bought
products.
a
Are you saying that we don't need to
lifetime
see that?
license
That
about
ultimately the
4.5,
hyperscalers
5
will be
years
the
ago.
intermediaries for
And
NVIDIA,
I've always
the
used it, and
providers of
I have a
cloud
custom
SAP
program
systems,
strategy
and
called
that
the
we won't
forecast.
see a broadening out in terms of clientele
So I'm
from
kind of
NVIDIA.
I'm all in on Ninja Trader. So
I do think that you do
if
need
you
some
wanted to try
long-term
futures
diversification,
or
and I think
other
you do need some
types
other
of stuff where you
drivers
chart,
of
if
that
you use
CapEx
Ninja
growth,
Trader,
right?
I
You
can
know,
help
the
you
next
out with it.
potential legs are going to be
I'm pretty good at
sovereign,
it.
right? You know, other countries
So this
looking
is
at
my
their AI
strategy.
strategies. It's kind of a small but fastly growing number.
And throughout the day,
And
I'll
then
explain
enterprise, right? You know,
how to read it,
enterprises right now
and
are
I
in
draw
kind of a
out
tough
my entry.
environment, but
Like
I
I
think
draw out where I
every
want to
single
enter,
major
and I draw out
enterprise
first target,
in the
second
world, a
target.
Fortune 500 company,
When
is
the
evaluating
conditions
right
are
now what
right,
their AI strategy
and
is.
you know I've got an A
And then
setup,
obviously, you know,
I got an
another
A plus
emerging
setup, and I got a B
driver of
setup.
growth is
And I'll
potential
talk more
robotics,
about
right?
that
Just
if
with
you're
the latest
interested as
reviews
the day goes
globally,
by.
we think
So
that
this
there
is our
are also
ES,
going to be
S&P
emerging as
500. Let's
diversifying
check
drivers
news
of growth
out,
for
guys.
NVIDIA.
Well, you mentioned sovereigns. I remember when Jensen Huang was
What do we got for
in the
news?
Gulf alongside the president.
Okay,
very
8:30.
excited about getting
Oh
into
shit,
that
guys, we
market.
got
What's the
news.
latest
We got
on that
news in
story
7
besides
minutes.
just the show of
8:30
force you
jobless
had
claims.
with the administration?
8:30 jobless
I
claims.
think the administration
8:30
is still trying to
GDP.
figure out exactly what their
Quarter over
sovereign
quarter.
strategy is, right? Obviously, you know,
Both of
we
these are pretty
showed
big.
where, you know, cards
If they
were
miss
with respect to
GDP,
China.
that
I don't
means,
know
you
if that's
know,
the
they
right
could start
strategy
talking
and
about
the right
recession and
strategy
things
for
like that.
countries like
And then
China and the
initial
rest of the
jobless
world.
claims,
Is
everybody
we
knows
want
what that
them
is. That's
to
just people
use our technology.
filing
We
for
want the
unemployment.
U.S. AI platform to be the platform of
So
choice.
7 minutes, got some
Because
real
if
news.
you take
Hey, Big Banana, how you
policy of
doing,
just
brother?
restricting
What's
exports
up,
to countries that you're
Big
concerned
Banana?
about, you know, competitive risk,
Nash
these countries
Nash
are
Forex
ultimately going
just
to figure
joined.
out
He's
the right
hanging out with us
strategy
this
of
morning. He's
relying
been
on
playing
other
around with
sources
Forex.
of
I'm just kind
supply,
of showing him
potentially
what
from
we
our
do.
competitors.
Given that thinking, do you think this
All right, I'm going to go to the
will allow
NQ
the
chart,
higher-end chips
the
to go to
NQ
Beijing?
chart. Nash, this is the
Not in the near term, right?
Nasdaq.
I think it's pretty clear where we're drawing the line.
All
We're drawing
right.
the line at age 20.
Hey, we got news in 7
We believe
minutes,
that
man.
NVIDIA
6
is
minutes
also
news.
developing on working
Initial
on
job openings
another
and
compliance
quarter
SKU
over
that doesn't
quarter
use high
GDP
bandwidth memory.
estimates. So
So
just be
I
careful
think
for
in
that
the
if
near
you're hopping
term,
on, if you're
I don't
getting
think
in a
we're getting
trade.
to a lot higher performance GPUs to China.
John, appreciate your time. Thanks for breaking it down. Jump in there of KeyBank, the latest on NVIDIA. That stock is negative by about 1% so far this morning. Mandeep, I just want to finish with you on China and this
really
revenue
like
share
this
with the
level
White
now.
House. I guess what you say
It's the same level
when
as
the
the
cameras are rolling in
S&P.
the White House is different to what you say on an earnings
Yeah, it's a
call.
good news day.
Because I didn't get a clear read on what's happening with that revenue whatsoever yesterday.
A lot
Did
of
you?
Treasury
No,
bill
I
stuff.
did not. And look, they're saying
Let's see,
the
Treasury
administration
bills,
will
White
have
House
to
briefing.
give a clear
Ooh, we get
directive
we
in
get
terms
a
of what they're allowed
we
to
get to
sell,
watch
and
our
also the revenue sharing, the 15%. So
our blonde
from
girl
that
give the White
perspective,
House
look,
briefing at
the
1.
guide is obviously ex-China.
7-year
and they are
Treasury
very,
at
very
1
well when
also.
it
So
comes
that
to
could be
managing
1 o'clock could be
expectations. But
something,
there
you
is
know,
no
depending
doubt
on
when
what's
you look at
dropped.
the large language model companies, if your customers are able to train
So
your
really
models on
8:30 and
someone
1
else's
o'clock is
chip,
what we're looking
why
for
would they
today.
come back to NVIDIA? And the,
All right,
you know,
let me
the
get this
delay that's
done
going
here.
on, 2-3 quarter delay.
I got to
These
get my
companies
trade
are not
journal up.
stopping their training process or their inferencing
Also.
process. They have to find compute. And so I'm curious to know, how are the
I
Chinese
just don't
large
like
language
this level
model
anymore.
companies right now managing their compute? What sort of chips are are the leaning in
a little
on.
more
And
relevant
to my
here.
mind, the more the delay, it'll be harder for NVIDIA to capture that share.
We've introduced a lot of political risk into this name this year alone.
Yeah, and this is really the reason why you heard Jensen Huang say we just have to keep advocating that the sensibility of and the importance of American tech companies to be able to lead and win the race. They're making a very political argument. What did we hear from Dan Ives?
Forecast
10%
up, get her
politician
news
and
up.
90% CEO. seems to be what we are witnessing here too.
Is futures trading more volatile? I've never done Forex. I've heard Forex can be more volatile than futures. But I don't know. Maybe somebody else can chime in. I've never really done Forex or options. I've only messed with futures, really.
Jobless claims in focus. Neela Richardson of ADP on the other side.
I heard Forex can be pretty volatile. What am I doing? Like for a cash account, like what do you mean fees? Like commission on the contracts? Because I'm not trading cash, I'm trading on a prop firm. Do you know what a prop firm is? I've had a cash account before. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I don't recommend doing that if you're just learning. You don't need to. The commissions are reasonable. I don't know exactly what they are right off the top of my head because I haven't traded a cash account in a long time. I've only had prop firm accounts. And if you have a prop firm account, they will pay for if you have a prop firm account subscription for like $40 a month, they will pay for your data and you'll get evals to try and pass. Do you know what a prop firm is? It's like the cheapest way to play around with this and figure out what you're doing without putting real money at risk. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I was about to buy a funded. Okay, so okay. We use Lilu. Spiznik, what's up? We use Lilu. Lilu will give you the current Lilu special has a bundle where you get 7 to 10 evals. I think it's 10 right now, but it's at least 7. 50K evals for like $40, man.
15 years ago, I turned 60.
You know what I mean? If you're new to it and you want to try it, I recommend the Lilu because for the same price you get one for Top Step, you you get like 7 to 10 tries on the Lilu bundle for their special. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be the consequence for U.S. markets.
Oh, let me see if it's still there. Hold on.
Deep in the European earnings season.
Take a look at how we're faring when it comes to Asian markets.
U.S. jobs numbers are released. Bloomberg has the report under surveillance with crucial data and expert analysis.
LJ9S2, is it still working? I have it here, dude.
With a growing influence in global affairs,
I just refreshed it. It's still here.
Brings you the unmatched expertise you need to keep track of breaking news, in-depth market analysis, and the most influential newsmakers.
September 3rd. It's good. This one is good till September 3rd. So if you wanted to try it, yeah, 119. Yeah, it's a good deal, man. It's for me. I think for somebody learning, it's like the best deal. Activation's 119, but you got to take the edge enhancer. You got to do the dollar edge enhancer to bring it down to 119 after you pay, you know. Yeah, 1050K eval. At Top Step, you pay $50 for one.
Getting very excited about rate cuts in our future. That's going to depend on the economic.
Yeah, it's just beginner friendly. News incoming. Here we go. Steakmeister's calling the news. Let me get over there.
And yields are higher at the front end by 2 basis points to about 360.
News is imminent. Imminent. Imminent news. Incoming. Jobless claims are down. Or wait, it hasn't posted yet. Hold on.
From the prior forecast of prior number of 3%. Now here are claims 229, significally lower than last week's 230.
We'll wait for these numbers to post, and then we'll get over to the NQ. It didn't really affect. It didn't really get a bump, did it?
1,000 continuing claims, up from or down a little bit actually, from 1,961,972. So a little bit of a pullback there in the number of people who hadn't gotten jobs. So jobless claims, labor market looks status quo at the present time. Going back to GDP at this point, what we're looking at is a 1.6% increase in personal consumption, consumer spending. That's up from 1.4% in the initial report. The price index is on a quarterly basis unchanged.
Oh, there we go. We got the bump.
5% on a core basis and 2% on a year-over-year basis. I'll look deeper into these numbers while you tell us if anybody is paying attention on Wall Street.
Mike, thank you, sir. No shocker here, no drama. So claims look rock solid, and in the bond market, yields are a little bit higher at the front end of the curve, and in the FX market, the dollar's just a little bit
Ooh, look at
stronger.
that. We're down on jobless claims.
Mike McKee and get some details in just a moment.
GDP is up. That's good news. That's why it's taken off.
Good morning.
If you took some time off, not that you ever do, but if you
Continued
did,
jobless claims is down.
just showed you jobless claims.
This is all good news, guys.
On the labor market right now.
Very good news.
Yes.
NVIDIA in talks with the U.S. to sell Blackwell AI chips to China. Why are we selling shit like that to China?
I actually
Fucking whatever,
identify
man.
4 crosswalks between macro
Whatever.
trends that are big in the making.
All right.
And also the very
So we got the bump.
data that
All right,
we're
let's get
seeing.
down on the NQ. We're all set up, guys.
That consumer spending,
We're all
which is
set
being
up.
picked up in the GDP numbers, has been a resilient driver of the labor market as well. So where you see strength in the consumer, you're seeing strength in the jobs market, namely leisure and hospitality, and there's some trade and transportation that has been strong.
All right.
Then you see this other macro theme of uncertainty.
Hey, how do you pay not to have ads on YouTube? How does that work?
There's a lot going on between
I'm
the
tired of these
picture,
friggin'
macro
ads
trends and the smaller granular real-time
on the NASA
hiring
site.
that businesses are doing right now.
How much is there stealth firing or sort of attrition plans that are in place that don't make it some of the overall numbers?
Because it always
necessarily
kicks out the
job
picture in
losses
picture.
the traditional way?
You know, this is a super, and I'm glad you asked me this question because it's a super complex question. Because what we're seeing on the part of the employer may not be demand driven. First of all, we had this great big resignation in 2022, and young
You got to
people
subscribe to
are
premium.
supposed to turn over. They're supposed to leave these jobs. They're staying put. And so there's a little bit less hiring because people are
What?
staying
If you
put.
use Brave,
And then you have the effect
YouTube
of
won't
AI.
give you
There's some
ads?
new research from
Are you
Stanford
serious?
that was out using ADP data. It was a
Like the
paper
ads that
released
play on the
yesterday saying
YouTube
that
stream?
in AI exposed fields like software developers or customer service reps, you are seeing an
Like, you know, when I'm playing the NASA site and ads come
You
on?
can't look at the macro. You have to dig
Really?
below the surface to see all of the
Fuck, I wish I would have asked that a week ago. It annoys the shit right out of me. I'm going to download Brave after a little bit and try it. Okay, cool. All right, I'll try that first. So I don't really want to. I'm trying to do everything open source so I don't have to pay for anything. You know what I mean? Everything I'm doing, I'm trying to do open source, Linux, whatever I can find, so I can make this as low cost as possible.
Everything with technology.
Yes and yes. And that's what makes it so hard. Yes, it is weakening. We are
All right.
seeing a slowdown.
Because I don't really pay for anything right now, except for like the data for NinjaTrader. That's like $7 a month. That's all I pay.
Chair Powell said in his speech that we're seeing lower supply, lower demand.
If that doesn't work, is ad blocker is that an app or is that like what do you mean ad blocker?
Into labor and these nascent technologies affecting early career in real time. So yes and yes, it's both, and that's why you can't predict.
Yeah, that's
We're
right.
going to see companies be hesitant, to slow down. They're
Everybody's got to switch to Linux. Fuck Google, man. I hate Google.
and then they're going to become back in the market.
It's an add-on?
when they need to, and so we won't know if a 1 month.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just try Brave in a little bit. I got to do my trade journal entries, though. I got to do,
a couple more months to get that done right.
I got to do the last 2 days
commercial clients. They're not hiring as much because
I don't want to get behind on
over
that.
at Jackson Hole, the theme was labor and transition, yet you said no one presented a
Yeah,
paper
it's
on
convenient.
artificial intelligence.
I'm trying to wean myself off.
Really understanding what's going on.
The only reason I got Windows on my trading computer is because NinjaTrader doesn't have a Linux
have a lot of
version.
attributes. Being on track all the time in the
Otherwise, I'd be completely Windows free.
So some of them, I know, it's a big reveal. so these papers are really important. They
All right.
have big themes like fertility.
Hey, Nash, you hanging out still? If you got questions or anything, throw them in chat, and me and the guys here will help you out. If you just want to hang out and see what happens all day long, more than happy. And if you got questions on what we're doing, just throw it in chat or in Discord. And I'll get to you as quick as I can. But I do want to let you know that I do work full time. So I've got leads I got to run and stuff. So I kind of go back and forth. If there isn't much going on, I'm on most of the day. But if I get busy and I don't answer right away, I'm not ignoring anyone. I just gotta, I can't do this full time just yet, just so you know.
But we're in the midst of that transformation.
But all right, guys, I got to set up real work, and I'm going to try and do those. I'm going to try and clip out my trades from yesterday, and I'll talk to you. If you guys need anything, just throw it in chat, and I'm always watching it, and I'll be back in a little bit. So really, we're clear to the open. So our next volatility area will be the open, and then 10 o'clock. Well, let's go through the list. You got 9:30 at the 10 o'clock U.S. pending home sales change. Pending home sales. This is usually not a big thing. Kansas. These are all usually not really big things. All the way, and then 1 o'clock we're going to watch the White House briefing. And lately, the 7 and 10-year Treasury bill has moved the market because the rates are so high. You know what I mean? So we got to watch that. We got to be careful. 1 o'clock. We could get some crazy candles. So you got to watch your stop losses around 1 o'clock. And then after 1 o'clock, and once it settles down and gets organized, we should be good through the end of the day. So if we get through the open, get ourselves organized, the forecast box will come on at 10:15. We'll start seeing if we get some opportunities. Then we're going to be careful around 1 o'clock, and then we're going to do the same after 1 to the close. So that's our plan for today. That's our news.
So we have a little bit.
Got to keep an eye on this NVIDIA thing. It's like NVIDIA is going to be Skylink from Terminator. They're working on it for sure. But all right, guys, I'll talk to you in a little bit. If you need anything, throw it in chat.
Clean read on anything to do with just things bouncing back, then maybe we will see that reacceleration as the year progresses and people re-engage with the economy.
I think we're too far away from the second quarter numbers to say that this revision has much bearing on what's going to happen. The good news was that businesses were spending in the second quarter, and that's been what everybody's watching. Were they going to hold off or not? Consumer spending continues at a slower pace than it had, but they're still hanging in there. So where do we go from here? Everybody's been waiting to see what effect the tariffs would have, and this is about the time when we're going to start seeing that.
Mike McKee, appreciate it. Mike, thank you, sir. As always, Mike on the data there. Nita's still with us. Nita, we wanted a word from you on the Federal Reserve. September in some ways feels like an easy call now. They're going to cut rates. How would you set things up for people for September and beyond into 26 of the Federal Reserve?
I think it's really helpful to look at how the Fed has moved historically, which is in small bites, moderated over a long time frame. That may not be the way that they can act now because there's so many moving parts of this economy. Whether you think that tariffs are a one-time price increase or have ripple effects, the fact is the lags between monetary policy and the lags between what's going on in the economy, they might miss each other. And so I expect a Fed that will be constantly data-driven and may have to pause to recalibrate where the economy is moving. I don't think it's going to be clear to them even when they start acting.
This is something we were talking about earlier on this morning, that after September, what was the phrase, our favorite phrase?
Hawkish cut.
Hawkish cut.
Yep, that's exactly what people are expecting.
Many people believe that you get that first cut as the start of something deeper. Other people believe that in September they might cut interest rates, but then open the door to a much more nuanced conversation about the rest of the year.
Yeah, the idea of a dual mandate in conflict and how that's going to cause them to be a lot more cautious. And the fact that we haven't really seen the inflationary ramifications and just how this Fed will handle and potentially look through or not some of the inflation related to tariffs and beyond.
Nita, it's good to see you. Always is. Thanks for dropping by. Nita Richardson there of ADP. Some breaking news just moments ago. It comes from Fox Business. Allow me to share it with you that the CEO, Jensen Huang, tells them he's in talks with the president and the administration about selling his Better Blackwell AI chip to China, and he's also willing to give the US government a cut of those sales. Plus, he wants US tech, of course, to be like the US dollar, the global standard. But the more important factor here is the Blackwell chip. Now, what isn't clear here is whether he's talking about the less advanced Blackwell chip, but the more advanced H20, or whether he's actually talking about the tip-top chip that comes from this company or not.
Yeah, I think that's a nuance we need to understand from either NVIDIA or really the Trump administration. What export license are they willing to give? The president had signaled he is willing to make a deal when it comes to Blackwell. He's basically saying, you know, we'll take 30, 50% of it in order to do this. Another interventionist approach from this White House and a real pay-to-play kind of opportunity for NVIDIA. And likely, given how the president explained the 15-20% deal that was cut for those H20s, it looks like this is something NVIDIA would be game for, even though on their call, the CFO says it might open them up to litigation.
The more time Jensen Huang spends with President Trump, the more the shares are going to rally. And I think that that really speaks to the political moment we're in and the idea that as long as he can get his story out, that the more that the U.S. technology is the standard, that's going to be the better for the United States, the more NVIDIA is going to really benefit.
We need some more clarity on this story. Let's put it that way. But I can tell you the stock's recovering. We're down now just 1/10% in the pre-market.
Basically green, 100%.
Stay tuned. Let's give you an update on stories worldwide with your Bloomberg Brief. Back with us, here's Yahira. Hey, Yahira.
Hi, John. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro is pressuring India to halt its purchases of Russian oil. Navarro, here on Bloomberg, accused New Delhi of funding the Kremlin's campaign in Ukraine and calling the conflict Modi's war. The U.S. doubled tariffs on India to 50% this week in an effort to secure concessions on trade and pressure Russia. Meanwhile, Brazilian President Lula da Silva's popularity is waning this month, suggesting the momentum he gained from his trade fight with President Trump may be over. Lula's approval fell to 48%, down 2 points from July. His disapproval rating rose to 51%. And shares of Victoria's Secret are rising 5.5% in the pre-market. The company raised its outlook after strong quarterly sales, a sign the new CEO's turnaround plan is taking hold. The company expects full-year revenue to reach up to $6.4 billion, which includes an estimated tariff impact of about $100 million. That is double the prior projection. That's your Bloomberg Brief. John?
Yahira, thank you. Appreciate it. Up next, Jim Turney of AllianceBernstein as markets shake off NVIDIA earnings, and NVIDIA shakes off NVIDIA earnings too, apparently. Plus, Danny Berger with your morning movers. Bath & Body Works warning of a multi-million-dollar tariff hit.
Hey, Nash.
3.6%.
Oh, hey, Spiznik, you used wine and it worked fine? I read a lot about that and I didn't play with it because people said it was glitchy. That's interesting. So you installed wine. I forgot what the steps were. You install. It gets glitchy updates. Fuck it. But it worked. Okay. Yeah, you know, I wish you could just get a version of Windows that was stripped down and just the operating system so you could run your apps and programs, you know what I'm saying? Without all the extra shit that they got running in the background. That's what pisses me off, you know what I mean? I friggin' hate that. Hey, Nash, maybe I'm going to get a new trading computer by the end of the year, and maybe I'll experiment with it then. Just run a Windows VM for it. Really? And run it right off the server instead of buying a new computer? I was gonna buy a custom made trading computer for like $5,000. There's a guy that makes them. I'll show you maybe I'll dig the link out in a minute and show you and see what you think.
allows us to do more. Right? I think the opportunity space.
Do you think that server is powerful enough to run? Like, I guess you run it off your server.
Getting a lot of the mundane aspects out of what they do.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, dude. I do. The thing is on this computer, I use OBS, I use NinjaTrader, I have Fidelity charts running for my stocks. I have Bloomberg. I have the NASA feed. I have the news feed. I got all this shit running specifically on this computer. And I kind of got it maxed out. I can't really do anymore. So I'm kind of cautious about adding and changing it because I don't want to like be down for 2 days because I fucked it up. I was kind of gonna wait until I could get the new computer before I messed with anything new. But hey, Nash, that's interesting. You're trading off your server through a ProMax virtual machine, right? That's what you're doing? Hey, Nash, you out there, brother? I'm on NinjaTrader. So I want to explain this to Nash because if he wants to do the prop firm, he doesn't have to pay for data. How did you know that?
Each week on Wall Street Week for stories of capitalism from business, markets, economics,
know what?
and climate. More than what you need to know, it's what you need to think about.
How did I know what?
The NVIDIA report kind of like threaded the needle, right? It was strong enough that you didn't get kind of a liquidation in those.
I trade on it. Oh, I didn't know you traded on a MacBook.
That's been going on for the last couple of weeks. The market right now is to some degree in one big trade.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Trade is
Ronnie, we're staying green today, Ronnie. We're doing some green work. No, we're not talking about a MacBook. We're talking about Spiznik and I play around with like home labs and servers and shit. And I'm just new. I'm getting into it. He's been doing it a while. So that's what we're talking about. But you had asked about NinjaTrader, right? So I wanted to like explain to you. Yeah, I wanted to explain to you a lot of the guys, they'll decide that they want to try the prop firm. Now, I don't make any money or anything like that. I'm not selling anything. So I want you to like really understand what's going on and what you're doing before you do it, because I don't like anyone spending their money until they fully understand what they're doing and why they're doing it and that it's what they want to do, for sure. So that's my disclosure. I'm not even an affiliate with Lilu yet. I'm not gonna sign up for that program until I get my payout and we kind of get the community built and stuff, and then I'm gonna try and get a special deal for the community. But that's a side point. So when I'm explaining this, I'm not selling it to you. So a lot of the guys, because if you just download NinjaTrader, you're gonna have like a subscription and you're gonna have to pay for data because you need the live data feed and that costs money. But if you have the subscription to Lilu, they have a link where you don't have to pay for data. You just download NinjaTrader and they give you the data. So all you're paying for is the evals. So I think it's like $40 a month for the 50K eval. So if you can genuinely afford $40 a month and you're not worried about that money, you can have everything you need, the chart service, the broker, the data, and 10 evals to play with over 30 days for $40 a month. You know what I'm saying?
And how much gentle pricing increases we're going to see.
Also, potentially, maybe just consumers.
And then you don't have to put any cash. Yeah, so that's kind of the deal. But it's for as long as you can afford $40, then to learn, you're basically paying $40 to have everything you need to learn about how it works and what we're doing. you know, and then you don't, you know, after 30 days is over, as long as they still have the code or they have a program similar to it, then you'll renew every month. You'll pay for the next month. But as long as you have an active subscription, you'll have the data and you'll be able to build a chart. You'll be able to follow along with what I'm doing. You're not going to have the chart I have because this is all custom made strategy. That's I'm trying to get it through licensing so that I can let people subscribe and have everything I need, but that's about 3 or 4 months out. But you can at least build basic indicators and kind of build something where you can follow along and you can pick your entries and you can, you know, start to learn and understand how things work for like almost no money. You know, you're not really risking any money to learn. That's the whole point of what we're doing here. I wanted to create this so people have a place to start learning and be involved, like be in the market and you know, and have a place to start their education on how things work. That's the idea. So if, you know, if you want to do that, I think in
the issue is where valuations have gone to, and people
in the Discord,
does it worry you?
It's under Join the Forecast. They got the links to Lilu. If you go to Join the Forecast, the links to Lilu are there. And I'll put the discount code up. So what I'd recommend is you really understand the whole program. There's 3 steps to it. There's the eval. You have to pass the eval. Then you pay the $120 for the paid account, and then you don't have to, as long as you keep that paid account, you don't have to pay any more money. You build up the paid account until you qualify for payouts, and then over the next few months, as long as you keep that paid account, you know, eventually the third and final step is that they contact you and talk about an offer to bring you on as a live funded trader with real money. So you'd actually be somebody who they put cash behind, like real cash, not paper trading, to trade in the market so they can copy trade you and expose you to the live real money trading. So those are the 3 steps. The goal is to become a live funded trader. You know, with somebody putting real cash up to fund you. And then the first step to all of that is
and not just the sovereigns. It is going to spread out to enterprise over time. And
the first step to that is, you know, is the links. The links will walk you through that. And then as you have questions, just drop them in chat. So that's what we're doing basically, if that makes sense. Now, I didn't know about brokers or anything when I first started trading, and I had the money. You know, I'm a little older. I've made decent money over the years. I just paid the $1,000 for the lifetime license to get started, and I pay like $7 a month for my data. So I pay $7 a month for my data because I bought the license before I knew about this system. Otherwise, I would have never done it. I'd have done it this way. So as I've been learning, I've been trying to collect all this information so that I could kind of create what we're doing now and help people through without having to figure it out the hard way, the way I did. You know, and then maybe we got a bunch of people around that can help us out when we're down and, you know, cheer us on when we're doing good, and, you know, that's kind of the idea. So, all right, I gotta do some work stuff, guys. If you got any more questions, Nash, throw them in chat. I'll get to them as quick as I can.
They probably could have done better if there was more power widely available in the U.S. In terms of, will the hyperscalers be stealing that power from the U.S. consumer? That obviously can't happen, and we need to solve that problem. When you look at job loss, I think that's a reality. We've had creative destruction in our country for decades. And you look at Microsoft. Microsoft is a great example of a company that is holding headcount down by using technology, and therefore margins keep rising. I love that. I mean, that's exciting when you can see a company do that.
I'm pulling you away from your seat just a little bit, but I just wonder how tolerant these politicians will be of creative destruction in 25 and beyond, given developments politically down in Washington and beyond.
I think the goal is to bring more manufacturing back to the U.S. and fill that hole. But you would have made the exact same argument 100 years ago with farmers. And the farming population is pretty darn small today, and people have found other jobs. So something to worry about, but I think solvable.
I'm always worried. I hope we can solve it. Anyway, Jim, it's good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Thank you, sir. Jim Turney there of Alliance Bernstein. I know you're thinking about a similar issue as well. The price of electricity. Keep going back to it. It's getting higher and higher. It's getting more and more expensive.
So that caters to the middle and older demographics, and the younger demographics are going to get hit by some of the job losses that you've seen in terms of artificial intelligence entry level for software producers. I'll just give you this anecdote. I've got two sons. They're 3 years apart. My older one worried about getting a job. My younger one worried about killer robots. It kind of sums up where we're at.
Well, also politically, it already is infiltrating Washington, D.C., the concern about this. It's kind of weird when you have Barack Obama and Steve Bannon lining up when it comes to AI and the concern that it could do in terms of destruction on white-collar jobs.
What did you say when he started to worry about killer robots?
Well, he then started showing me pictures. He's like, they've built the torso to the killer robot. And I'm like, get off TikTok. Just stop. Whatever you're on.
Is that where he's seeing this stuff?
It's YouTube Reels. I don't know. It's social media.
See, be careful. That's the Chinese
Exactly.
algorithm.
And they're
trying to
explaining.
get the kids to fear AI
Right.
so that we lose the race in the AI race here in the United States. Is that what's happening?
I think he's worried about a killer robot. I don't think it has to do with AI race. I think that is
No,
actually
I know.
a real one. Yeah,
You know, but it's
maybe.
like,
you think
you know,
so?
yes.
But this is
Yes.
YouTube Reels. Okay,
I
there
don't
you go.
know.
That's going to be.
I don't even know.
You're doing great.
Just, I'm counting down the seconds.
I know you are.
I've got to go.
Please.
Coming up tomorrow, Brian Nick of New Edge Wealth, Katie Kaminsky of Alpha Simplex, Dana Telsey of Telsey Advisory Group, Zach Griffiths of Credit Sites. From New York City, I'm joking. I was joking. Or was I? That's kinda. A little bit. This was Bloomberg Surveillance. You're watching Bloomberg TV.
Technology is embedded in every aspect of our lives.
And laying the foundation for the future.
From finance to defense, AI to entertainment.
And from the road to the stars. Bloomberg brings you the latest stories of the people and companies pushing the tech sector to new frontiers.
And the politics that shape global tech markets.
I'm Caroline Hyde in New York.
And I'm Ed Ludlow in San Francisco.
Watch Bloomberg Tech every weekday.
Only on Bloomberg Television.
So today, has value investing been a profitable thing to do over the last 10 years or so, or has it been hard to do?
The market structure has changed, and there has been what I consider it to be a broken market, or the value investing industry, I think, is defeated, so to speak. It used to be that most money was invested by these long-only investors, these big mutual funds and stuff like that. And they had money coming in every day, and they were getting nice fees on all of that money, and they had large research teams, and they would sit around following all of the companies with teams of analysts, and they would say, this company we think is undervalued by 30%. And it might be a growth stock or a value stock, a Magnificent Seven or otherwise, but they would say, I think this is undervalued by 30%, and if I buy it and I hold it, I'll make the S&P plus 30. Now, as we've moved to passive, they've lost their customers, and the remaining customers are paying them lower fees, and they have reduced their research staffs, and they don't have new money coming in to make new investments in any case. And so most of the investing these days is no longer done by people who are buying something because they think it's worth more. They have opinions about price, like what is the price going to be tomorrow? And so the result is most trading that is going on right now has nothing to do with value. So it leaves us sort of as a dinosaur.
Bloomberg Screen Time is back this fall for year 3. We're bringing together the biggest names in business and pop culture, like Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters, Instagram boss Adam Mosseri, and Los Angeles royalty Willow Bay. We're going to talk about how sports is eating entertainment, check in on the state of the movie business, and get an update on LA after the fires from Rick Caruso and Irving Azoff. You should expect newsy interviews from industry leaders, meaningful business networking, and of course, great food. We'll feature some of the best chefs and food trucks from my hometown of Los Angeles. Tickets are available now, and you should head to bloomberglive.com/screentime for details. I'll see you in Los Angeles, October 8th and 9th.
Bringing you up-to-the-minute economic news whenever and wherever it happens. I'm Michael McKee in Victor, Idaho, and this is Bloomberg.
All right, good NVIDIA morning. We have positive futures, 30 minutes until the start of trading. I'm Matt Miller.
And I'm Katie Greifeld. Bloomberg Open Interest starts right now.
Coming up, the AI boom takes a breather, or rather it looked like that when NVIDIA signaled a growth slowdown, but now NVIDIA shares have turned positive. The CFO tells Bloomberg that President Trump's plan to skim $15 off of China chip revenue could face legal challenges. Meanwhile, on the data front, the U.S. economy expanded in the second quarter thanks to a pickup in business investment. I feel like that's a related story as well.
Yeah, and just to go back, it's 15% of revenue, $15.
Did I say $15?
You did. That wouldn't be very much.
Sorry, I
at
meant
all.
15%. That's the export tax.
Let's take a look at what's going on with NVIDIA shares right now. As Matt mentioned, they did go positive. They erased a decline of as much as 3.3% overnight as traders reacted to those numbers. You can see shares now deciding what to do, Matt. We have a great roundtable coming up. We'll get into the why exactly.
Yeah, what a story. Ed Ludlow came in from vacation to do an interview with the CFO of NVIDIA, who gave him a forecast for China chip sales in the third quarter. Watching the other Mag 7 stocks, which are the main drivers of NVIDIA's revenue, not a lot of change here, just like NVIDIA. So pretty much everything is hovering at these record highs, Katie, and not making any movement forward or backward.
Well, a lot of that has to do what's going on with NVIDIA shares pre-market in terms of that trading range. Let's listen to the CEO speaking on the company's future prospects to crack the China market.
So I think the opportunity for us to bring Blackwell to the China market is a real possibility. And so we just have to keep advocating the sensibility of and the importance of American tech companies to be able to lead and win the AI race.
And in a Bloomberg interview, NVIDIA's CFO says that the Trump administration's plan to charge a commission on NVIDIA's AI chip sales to China hasn't progressed beyond the early stages. She says, I don't have to do this 15% until I see something that is a true regulatory document. Let's keep the conversation going now with Bloomberg Tech co-host Caroline Hyde and Mandeep Singh, Global Head of Tech Research for Bloomberg Intelligence. Great to have you guys with us. Caroline, I'll start with you because we were talking about the share reaction just before the show started. And I mean, you take a look at these numbers to see these declines pre-market. Did they match up with what we actually heard from the company?
Look, this is a company that is $4.4 trillion worth already, is posting more than 50% gains in revenue and in earnings per share. It delivered on its second quarter. In fact, the fact that Chinese sales weren't included in the third quarter and they still signaled $54 billion worth of sales, I think this was categorically a meet or beat, but many people want to see NVIDIA smash it. So perhaps that's why we saw a little bit of like digestion. The shares now seem to be coming up to flat because I think more broadly, the opportunity was really signaled well here. $50 billion worth could be done with China if they're allowed to, and they are in talks with the government. That's what certainly is being discussed today with the government about a reorientated Blackwell architecture for China. They're also saying $2 to $5 billion could be going in terms of H20s already. $4 trillion worth, he said this already, but this is the NVIDIA CEO's key takeaway. $4 trillion worth of AI infrastructure needs are there already. How much are they going to service that? $600 billion worth of capital expenditure already committed to by their key hyperscale clients, and AI sovereign was another big number, $20 billion. I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but for me, the scale of the opportunity is still clear. It's a company that vindicates.
I'm listening, but the camera didn't show my Olympic eye roll when you mentioned the China opportunity, because we've injected so much volatility into this story, and the Chinese Communist Party has essentially ordered companies in China not to buy NVIDIA chips. I'm sure that's H20 or Blackwell, right? So even though the CFO says they could have $2 to $5 billion if they ever get an agreement with the Trump administration on paper, I mean, isn't the likely outlook for China chip sales closer to zero, Mandeep?
I think that's how the company is guiding. But when you start comparing year-over-year growth numbers, or even compared to what they did,
it's the slowest revenue growth in over 2 years.
No, but the reason why it's slowest is because the China number was there before, and now it's not there. So from that perspective, the comparisons get a little noisy. But I want to go back to Caroline's point about $600 billion capex from hyperscalers. To my mind, if you add up the capex of all the hyperscalers as of today, it's around $400 billion. So that's implying a 50% bump in capex for, I think he's talking about next year. So from that perspective, we didn't hear Microsoft guide to 50% increase in capex for 2026. We didn't hear Meta guide 50% increase in capex. So clearly that concentration is growing, and he sees those commitments from the hyperscalers that they will increase their capex next year. And so from that perspective, I think it's a negative for companies like the hyperscalers where they continue to spend big. I mean, if you're looking at their free cash flow, you're probably taking those numbers down because we're talking about a 50% increase in capex.
I want to push back on your China negativity to a certain extent, Matt, and the eye roll is vindicated in many ways. But we just heard from the CFO telling Ed Ludlow and Ian King that she's got the licenses. She can sell into them. They even, until she gets a true regulatory document, she doesn't even need to give the 15% to the US government.
But Xi Jinping says don't buy. So if you operate in China, are you going to buy?
I think many still are having to buy because Huawei hasn't got the capacity. Neither does some of the other players yet. It's just not there. They're asking you, don't do work on government-related
Mandeep agrees with you. He's shaking his head, yes.
Even the Singapore sales. I mean, Singapore is such a big market for NVIDIA. You have to ask yourself, are those all for US customers? And some of them are being used on the cloud by Chinese LLM companies. So it's very hard to track exactly how their chips are being used. And to my mind, there are so many large language model companies in China that are keeping up neck and neck with the US LLM companies. How are they doing it? They have to find the clusters to train their models on. And some of that capacity, I bet you, is getting used in China.
Well, also to Matt's point, I mean, if the Chinese government encourages you not to buy chips from NVIDIA, what are your other options? We heard from the CFO also saying that the company is urging the U.S. government to approve a version of the more up-to-date Blackwell chip for sale in China. Who competes with Blackwell at this point?
I mean, look, it's your U.S. companies, whether it's AMD or any custom ASIC, but if NVIDIA can't sell to China, so can't AMD. So you go back to the local Chinese chip makers, and to Caroline's point, Huawei still doesn't have that kind of capacity. So clearly, I think when it comes to training, you rely on a certain type of chip, and you're not going to switch it overnight. But if they can't get access to either Hopper or the the lower version of Blackwell, then you have to ask yourself, what are they training on? And if it's a non-US company chip, then they probably have moved away. I mean, it may not be as power efficient as an NVIDIA chip is, but they are able to use a cluster that's a non-US chip cluster.
I mean, I'm trying to push back here, right? I feel like Chinese chip makers can really just steal the IP and try and copy it. That's how they've operated historically. And then
Hey, Nash, yeah, I'll be here tomorrow all day. I'm here every day from 8 o'clock to
hyperscalers. You talk to the
till about 3:20, 4 o'clock.
apps that work on NVIDIA's chips.
The stream's up and running. I usually go live at 8, and I'm done. I'm done trading by 3:20, but I hang out for the close, and then I usually let the stream run till 5 after I sign off. So we'll see you tomorrow. Glad you stopped by.
This report from MIT that 95% of these trials of AI applications just aren't delivering in terms of productivity and in terms of savings. But you didn't hear any of that from the earnings of these companies. In fact, you heard Alphabet scale up their capital expenditure, and they were rewarded for it. Their share price went higher. I think thus far people are giving the hyperscalers the benefit of the doubt. Don't get me wrong, they probably don't want some of the other companies, those that are desperately trying to compete with Salesforces and the like. They're not giving them as much bandwidth. They've got to have agentic AI working right here, right now. But I think the bandwidth is being given to the capital expenditure, big players of the hyperscalers for now. And maybe in the, look, think about, we always laugh about how much Microsoft, we're like reading into whether or not they've really got the data center licenses or the ongoing relationships there, or whether they pull them back, whether they scale them up. We're always trying to get the devil in the detail. But I think more broadly, if you just take him at face value, NVIDIA is saying they're there and they're there spending big, and $600 billion worth is a lot of capital expenditure.
All right, guys, it feels like we're just getting started, but we have to leave it there. Fantastic roundtable to kick off this show. Our thanks to Caroline Hyde of Bloomberg Tech. You can catch her at 11 a.m. Eastern. and Mandeep Singh of Bloomberg Intelligence. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the market right now at the index level. We were talking about how NVIDIA actually erased much of its losses pre-market. You can see that reflected on the big benchmarks. The S&P 500 now mildly positive. So too is the NASDAQ 100. The Russell 2000, which is kind of isolated from all of this NVIDIA talk that we're having this morning, higher by about 0.5%. Let's take a look at some of the other stocks that are moving on earnings that aren't NVIDIA with Bloomberg cross-asset reporter Isabel Lee.
Hey, Katie, we have to start with Best Buy. We have the company warning that tariffs continue to weigh on its business, and that's ahead of the crucial holiday shopping season. Shares are kind of up now by 1.5%, but it was down pre-market trading. So you see there, the stock is fluctuating. So this takes the shine off a quarter in which it boosted sales for the first time in more than 3 years. Again, the tariff comment shows the vulnerable position a company like Best Buy is in, whose product lineup is largely exposed to China. Up next, we're looking at Dick's Sporting Goods. The company raised their full-year outlook. This is a welcome sign, again, for strong consumer demand. This comes as the company prepares to acquire Foot Locker, and that's a sneaker chain. You see, though, the stock is seeing some pressure, down by more than 3%. So Dick's Sporting Goods now see comparable sales and EPS above its previous projections. The forecast includes expected impact from tariffs currently in effect. And lastly, we're looking at Victoria's Secret. So this is also good news for the company. The company raised its outlook after strong quarterly sales, and you see the stock there popping nearly 10% in pre-market trade. This signals that the turnaround plan of its new CEO, Hilary Super, is taking hold. So the company now expects full-year revenue to be higher than forecast, but its outlook includes an updated estimated tariff impact of around $100 million a year. That's double the previous projection. Back to you guys.
All right, Isabel, thanks very much. Isabel Lee there talking to us about some of the other movers that aren't NVIDIA. Obviously, at $4.3 trillion in market cap, NVIDIA towers over every other company, though. So we're going to continue talking about their earnings, dissect them, break them down, look at the outlook, and see what we can divine. NVIDIA analysts have been looking past the company's tepid forecast, if you want to call it that, and lifting price targets. At least 10 of them have done so. Vijay Rakesh of Mitsuo Securities joins us next. This is Bloomberg Open Interest.
Tune in to Bloomberg Business Week Daily.
We got to talk crypto.
From the magazine that helps global leaders stay ahead.
What's the conversation around your company?
Bringing you insight on the people, companies, and trends shaping today's complex economy.
Planning very big things.
A new level of premium.
Plus global business, finance, and tech news as it happens.
The floodgates of innovation are going to open up.
You can't fake passion. You either are or you aren't.
Bloomberg Business Week Daily, only on Bloomberg.
Bloomberg Screen Time is back this fall for year 3. We're bringing together the biggest names in business and pop culture, like Netflix co-CEO Greg Peters, Instagram boss Adam Mosseri, and Los Angeles royalty Will Obey. We're going to talk about how sports is eating entertainment, check in on the state of the movie business, and get an update on LA after the fires from Rick Caruso and Irving Azoff. You should expect newsy interviews from industry leaders, meaningful business networking, and of course, great food. We'll feature some of the best chefs and food trucks from my hometown of Los Angeles. Tickets are available now, and you should head to bloomberglive.com/screentime for details. I'll see you in Los Angeles, October 8th and 9th.
Join me each week on Wall Street Week for stories of capitalism from business, markets, economics, tech, and climate.
More than what you need to know, it's what you need to think about.
At a time when policy in Washington is driving Wall Street, we draw a distinction between the rhetoric and the action, bringing you market-moving guests and original reporting. This is Bloomberg Surveillance.
Let's get now to high interest. Look at what's making headlines around the world. And Five Below, it's raising its outlook, saying that it has passed on higher costs from tariffs to its customers who still embrace the chain's budget-friendly products. The CEO says another driver of growth was the global suspension of the de minimis exemption that allowed packages valued at less than $800 to enter the U.S. Without charging tariffs. The suspension gave Five Below an edge over online discount rivals like Temu. I believe that de minimis exception, though, comes to an end this week. Deli Meat King Hormel is cutting its guidance as it posts a disappointing quarter. The parent of Spam and Applegate brands cited higher commodity costs as the main driver of the weakness. The interim CEO expects the profit recovery to lag into next year, and you can see the shares down 13%. And we've got breaking news on Fed Governor Lisa Cook. Michael McKee's Bloomberg's international economics and policy correspondent. He joins us now with the latest headlines. Mike?
Well, Matt, we have now official confirmation that Lisa Cook has sued the president to keep her job at the Federal Reserve. The details of the lawsuit haven't yet been placed on the court's computerized system, but as soon as we have that, we will get more for you on exactly the grounds on which she is suing. But she has sued the president over his move to dismiss her from the Fed, as they said she would.
And Mike, I mean, bring us up to speed. Give us the context for what we're talking about here. We know that, of course, President Trump has been pressuring the Federal Reserve. Mostly that has been, up until this point, kind of focused on Chairman Jerome Powell. But, of course, he's turned his attention to Fed Governor Lisa Cook in the last week or so.
Well, there's a couple of elements to this, Katie. One is that the president could, in theory, if he can get rid of Cook, end up with a majority of governors on the Board of Governors. Whether that would translate into getting him what he wants, we still don't know. But it also may be, if she sues and loses, especially if she loses a request for a temporary restraining order to keep her job while this goes through the courts, then that puts more pressure on Jay Powell, because then the president might think he could get rid of Powell without a court stepping in. It all's going to turn on the question of what for cause means, because the Federal Reserve Act says they can only be fired for cause, and the Supreme Court said that that is accurate, that they need a reason. So we will keep an eye on that and see what her argument is and whether that would apply to Powell as well.
Right. I mean, how likely is it that the Supreme Court questions the reason that the President of the United States gives, considering the fact that the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the Trump administration in the lion's share of the cases it's reviewed this year? And the market, regardless of what your take on that is, seems to not really care about this. The 10-year yield is at 4.23 right now, and the curve is flattening.
Well, we don't have a decision yet. We don't have any kind of adjudication yet, so the market is kind of looking past this. There have been some signs in the long end that there is a little bit of concern about what might happen. But in general, it appears the markets are either going to wait for some sort of decision, or they just believe that the president will not win this one. We don't know. As far as Powell and Cook's issue is that what the president's cause is something that she did before she came to the Fed in her private life. Does that rise to the level of for cause in the Federal Reserve Act? Generally, with government officials, it deals with behavior while you're on the job. But if they can make this for cause a private matter as well, then that might open up Powell or other members of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors to actions by the administration.
All right, Mike, appreciate your quick reporting here. That is Bloomberg's Michael McKee. Just to bring you that headline again, Fed Governor Lisa Cook has filed a lawsuit challenging President Trump's attempt to fire her over claims that she lied on mortgage applications. That was filed in federal court in Washington today. The complaint not immediately available. We'll bring you more updates as we get them. But let's turn back now to NVIDIA. Of course, that is the stock story of this morning. And despite forecasting slower growth, Vijay Rakesh, Mizuho senior analyst, remains bullish on the company, writing, quote, "We see NVIDIA remaining the leader here in the AI training and inference chips for data center applications." I'm pleased to say that Vijay joins us now. He has an outperform rating on NVIDIA. So put these numbers into context, because it seems like the initial knee-jerk reaction was disappointment, maybe that the forecast wasn't really beating expectations here, Vijay. Now it seems like the market's trying to decide how it actually feels.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Katie. I think if you look at the data center numbers, they definitely came in line to what the street was looking for. And so that was a little bit, more, downside to what the very optimistic assumptions on the street was. But that said, if you look at the AI space, I think no other space in the semiconductor market enjoys visibility and the long-term capex outlook that the AI space enjoys. And if you look at what NVIDIA is talking about, there's a 3 to 4 trillion AI capex that they have line of sight to over the next 5 years. That's a significant TAM that NVIDIA is chasing, and they are the leaders in it. So while you have some near-term numbers that are kind of in line, you can't miss the long-term outlook here, which is very significantly positive for them. So we think this is kind of still the name to own in the space.
Vijay, Jacob Bourne over at eMarketer says these results showed hints that spending by giant data center operators could tighten at the margins if near-term returns from AI applications remain difficult to quantify. And this is the kind of thing that investors write in and comment on every day. The ROI, is it there? Will it materialize? Can we quantify what it's going to be? Because otherwise, maybe Google doesn't want to spend $80 billion in CapEx. Maybe Meta isn't going to keep spending $100 billion a year on this.
Yeah, hi, Matt. So just if you look at this whole CapEx commentary, I think what we have seen is over the last 3 months, which is a pretty short period, you have seen CapEx from the top 4 CSPs get raised from about 28-30% entering the year to 50% plus for calendar 25. So you are seeing CapEx actually accelerate. And even if you look out to calendar 26, we have CSP spending, the cloud spending for AI, growing 17 to 20% year on year. So there is still significant growth coming. Talking about Meta, they are obviously spending a lot on super intelligence, but they have already kind of pointed to maybe a 40% CapEx growth into next year, close to the 100 billion number, 95 billion number that you talked about. So this CapEx continues to grow, and you are seeing multiple business models on the reasoning side, like Anthropic, Perplexity, etc., Mistral, Cohere, all do very well, and the valuations there also get significant upside. So this continues to be a very long-term roadmap for semis and the AI space. So.
And Vijay, I know that you have an outperform rating on this company, but I'm really curious to hear what you think the existential threat is here. Matt brings up this point all the time, and I think it's a good one, that you think about how the fiber network was overbuilt, for example, that maybe some of these big tech companies rethink their CapEx spends in the years ahead. Is that the existential threat, or is it maybe the idea that if NVIDIA can't access the China market, that some of those homegrown competitors actually will be able to take share and compete here?
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Katie. I think if you look at the AI space, the big spenders today are still the CSPs. So you always have the risk that the CSPs could slow down, that they might want to focus a little bit on the free cash flow. But that said, what we are seeing here in the next couple of years is a pretty big focus on building out the AI space. There's still a lot of dollars to get there, a lot more efficiency and performance that can be driven from the AI side. So you're still seeing CSP spending grow, but you're also seeing a huge couple of new vectors in AI server growth, from sovereign spending growing 100%, and it could possibly expand into 26 as the Middle East shipments start to pick up. But also enterprise tier 2 spending from the likes of xAI at Tesla and Grok, but also Oracle OCI spending up significantly into next year. So you're seeing some other vectors also start to pick up alongside the CSPs, which should definitely help the 2026 outlook. And to that, add to that the whole China side, right? At this point, they're not shipping anything into China. They're talking about a 2 to 5 billion per quarter tailwind into 26 if those licenses get approved. So there is still potential for upside to the numbers that they laid out. So,
I've been thinking about this China problem because there were 0 China sales in Q2, and they didn't initially include a forecast in Q3, although the CFO now says maybe $2 to $5 billion in China sales. But there have been multiple signals from the Chinese Communist Party through various regulators that they do not want Chinese companies buying NVIDIA chips, be they H20 or any newer chips. And historically, China just steals IP and then, makes their own version. Aren't the Chinese going to do this with Blackwell chips as well, maybe even with Rubin?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's been a lot of noise around this, and it makes a lot of sense that China would want to, hold off on importing H20s or B20s so they can develop their homegrown domestic AI. But that said, the commentary from NVIDIA on the call definitely says there is demand for even H20, which is, let's say, a year and a half old, 2 years old, and to the tune of almost $2 to $5 billion a quarter. And so if they can move forward, ship those, but also develop a toned down, de-spec'd B40 or B30, that could be the next driver as well for 2026. If they can make it, it's taped out and it gets licensing from the U.S. government, obviously. But I think from the U.S. government side, they also get a 15% take on the revenue. So we think that there's a possibility for approval down the road on both of those products.
All right, Vijay, great to get your take. Really appreciate you joining us. Vijay Rakesh there of Mitsuo. In the next hour, we're going to talk AI investing with Winston Ma of the Global Public Investment Funds Forum and Joe Kaiser of Mercado Partners. This is Bloomberg Open Interest.
For Trung Choo Bin, you're never too young to learn AI. That's why he's urging the government for school kids as young as 6 to be taught how to use it.
Within this system, from first grade, they all start with the AI education. They play 4 years, just playing. And then from 5th grade, they start to develop AI by themselves. And STEMs and robotics, I see very clearly how Vietnam should be in future. Vietnam just about 100 million people, young people, good education, and latest technology. That's the only way to go. Education not contribute much profit for FPT, but from the country point of view, that's most useful contribution what FPT should do. And today we're thinking about every kids, not in cities like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, but kids in the countryside should got the good education. That's what we're going to do now.
So you're leapfrogging.
Yes, exactly.
Middle East and Africa, vibrant resources and high-yield investment opportunities abound. Join me on Horizons Middle East and Africa for the stories, newsmakers, and insight from this exciting region. Now weekdays, only on Bloomberg.
Bringing you up-to-the-minute geopolitical news wherever and whenever it happens. I'm Anne Marie Hodern in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and this is Bloomberg.
All right, guys. 1 minute to the open, 30 seconds. So it looks like we just got the open. Just got the open.
Interest. I'm Matt Miller. It looks like, you know, before last night that whatever NVIDIA
Let's see what we're doing today.
Would almost change the narrative for this market, or at least continue the momentum train, as Kim Forrest told us. But right now, it feels like nothing is changing at all.
Are you long, Spiznik? Did you go long into the open?
Look at that, 6,500. So we're at a high level there, and we will be on the cash trade as well. NASDAQ 100 futures unchanged. Russell 2000 futures, actually the small caps are up about 1/3%, but as Katie says, they're relatively disconnected from the NVIDIA story. At the
Oh shit,
NYSE,
holy cow.
you have some sort of
We're taking off.
traded company or a council, some organization ringing the bell. It's August, folks, in the slow doldrum days of the summer. You at least have a
Everybody was going long.
SE ringing the bell.
Yeah, no,
on the NASDAQ. Of course,
we got a pretty nasty wick down. It's
NVIDIA, even 5 below earnings didn't get me to look away from the AI story. And you know I love.
I know you love.
I love 5 below.
Everyone loves a deal. Anyway, let's talk about NVIDIA. Looks can be deceiving. You don't see too much movement right now.
all
Of
right.
course, we know
Maybe
that it was
today will
much
be
lower
the day
pre-market, down about
LIDR
3%
will
after
go
it
to the
signaled that
moon.
growth is decelerating for the first time in 2 years, really adding to concern that the pace of investment in AI systems is unsustainable, and of whether or not we're actually going to see returns from all of that CapEx being funneled into this company. But NVIDIA shares currently about 1% higher. Traders really digesting what exactly we heard from the company and from Jensen Huang last night, Matt.
All right, watching the other Mag 7 stocks, because they are, for the most part, you know, NVIDIA's customers. The 4 biggest data center operators, cloud operators, hyperscalers, whatever you want to call them, that you see here, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Amazon make up 40% of NVIDIA's revenue. And
Rocks. What's up, Rocks?
Facebook owner Meta Platforms, they're all in the green today.
We're waiting to see where the madness plays out at. We're just waiting to see. I gotta set up my copy trader. I gotta turn Lilu on. Hold on.
Analysis, but everybody has a view on NVIDIA, what the earnings meant, how that signals for the rest of the year on the stock market. What's your take?
I'm just gonna wait for our setup.
I'm going to put it in a broader context. As you know, I've been a big fan
All
of
right, man. Well, yeah. Wait till we
years.
get a good setup. It
argument
won't take
has been
much
that
to get it.
Semiconductors are the true leaders within this marketplace, and NVIDIA does remain the key leader.
About 10 ticks on a couple
AI.
contracts or
You know,
something.
we're gonna
No, it
have
would be
some
more than
quarters
that.
that are great for NVIDIA.
10,
we're going to have some quarters that
20
might be a little
ticks
bit more lukewarm.
on 2
But
contracts.
it's not going to change the trend in semiconductors.
Yeah, he should be okay. I think he'll be okay on that one. The fact that you didn't try and get it yesterday in the volatility means that you're going to get it. That's good karma. You know what I mean?
Any pullback, and even
I'm going to trust you on this one, Rox. I'm going to trust you on this one. I think you'll be okay.
Interesting. And when you say bullish the semiconductor space, I mean, is this a pyramid that just descends from NVIDIA? What are some of the other names that you think actually could close the gap? Because right now it just appears that NVIDIA is dominant.
Well, it's
Yeah, there's no reason to
dominant
be.
in AI. They basically have created this whole space.
It's nice when you're not in a hurry. You know what I mean?
Seen really a competitor come up yet. You know, you'll hear about AMD, but they're not there yet. So really what I've learned through the years, when a company comes out with a leading technology that the market wants to own, they dominate 80% of the market. And at least right now, I think that's the trend that it's NVIDIA is on, unless it's proven otherwise.
In terms of the technicals, when you look at NVIDIA, what do you see?
You got a margin and 2 PA accounts. This is just, dude, you're rolling heavy, man. I love it, dude. You're rolling hardcore. Do you ever copy trade the PA from the margin to the PA? Or you said you're doing them on 2 different platforms or something, right? So you can't do that?
I'm bullish the market out to 29 to 2030.
Ooh,
I think
LiDAR
S&P
popping
is
off.
tracking towards 10,000 to 13,000. In that
Sorry, guys. Anyone new? The only stock I pump is LIDR because that's my lottery ticket.
run, we're going to get corrections within
Yeah.
that. But the longer term trend in NVIDIA.
I've
from a
had bad
technical
experiences
perspective
copy
remains
trading,
extremely
so I'm
bullish.
pretty limited on
Extremely
what I do
bullish
and
there
how I
when it
do it
comes to the
now.
technical perspective.
Things
Let's
can get
talk
bad.
about other sectors of this market, though. It's interesting. Even
Oil
with
on the
NVIDIA's
other.
drawdown earlier
You trade
today,
oil?
You did see the S&P 500, at least at the index level, appear
Oil is
resilient
boring
in
as
the
shit.
market. What
And
does
then
that
there's
say
like
about where we
a
are
few
when
moments
it
of
comes
sheer
to the
terror.
breadth of the rally that we've been experiencing?
If I wanted to punish all the forecast traders, I'd make them watch oil all day.
Through the Russell 2000, but the advanced decline lines that I like to look
If
at.
Bugatti shows up, if he watches oil for 3 months straight, then he can come to the regular stream.
Last Friday was a very important day for the market.
He's got enough discipline to watch oil.
What we call a
Lone
90%
Wolf.
up day in breadth. 90% of the issues actually advanced. And that's extremely
So I have a
bullish,
question. What do you
especially in
think
the
a yield
doldrums
max?
of the
What does
latter
that mean?
part
What's a
of
yield
the
max
summer.
stock?
It's a confirmation with breadth hitting a new
What
high.
kind of craziness is that? That sounds like some made up shit, Lone Wolf.
That we remain in a very
Is that some meme stock?
bullish trend.
That's some Reddit shit, isn't it? What's a yield max stock?
I think the market is acting a little tired.
Oh, weekly dividends? So there's stocks that pay weekly dividends. What kind of companies are these?
It's possible that we're going to see 7,000 on the S&P 500.
You said though that momentum is
Steakmeister, oil markets open like 5 times a year. What do you mean, like when they trade?
Marianne. So do we get a near-term?
You mean when they trade the actual crude, Steakmeister?
Change from flatlining to either moving up
Like,
to
give me a ticker. Give me a ticker of a weekly dividend stock.
away from it, or moving down.
I'm not too familiar with that. Like, I've never heard of it before.
Volatility index. It's trading around 14
Oh,
right now.
like, have you seen oil futures? Have you ever watched the CL? Steakmeister? Yeah, it's super boring, dude. I played with it for a while. It actually lines up really good with my ES setup. Like, it wouldn't take a lot to dial in my ES setup into oil, and if you could watch it on the side and have an alert set up,
Fed is going to cut interest rates. And I would take that away from
it could be like a side chart you watch on the forecast and just maybe try and take, when you maybe take a longer term trade on consolidation, you know what I mean, like on oil.
watching PCE is going to be really important.
I watched gold for a
in terms
while
of how
too.
the market really prices
Gold can
in
get pretty
where
crazy.
interest rates are truly going.
But I decided I needed to focus on two. I need to focus on two in the ES and NQ. USOY mirrors USO. Let me.
Market could add a little bit of volatility.
So how do they pay weekly dividends? I guess, like, how does that work?
PCE data coming tomorrow. We
US.
are 8 days out from the
Oh,
next jobs
boy.
report. Let's game plan here. Let's say that we don't actually see a rate cut from the Fed next
It's an
month, which would
ETF.
certainly be a surprise looking at
Defiance
pricing
Oil
here.
Enhanced Options.
Which area of the market would that hit the hardest at this point?
So this is an ETF.
Obviously, it's going to hit the growth stocks, the tech stocks. The stocks that are up the most are going to come down the most. I still believe we're in a mega cycle for growth. But if we do have a correction, you're going to see the
High
value
maintenance
part of the market
ratio.
rally. But I don't think it's sustainable.
So this isn't a
I don't think
stock.
clients, if you're a long-term investor, you really just
The-
have to ride out the volatility. Traders can come in and move around their book a little.
This
bit.
isn't a stock. It's a bundled ETF,
We're
right?
tracking higher, and we're going to continue to hit new record highs in this market.
All right, Marianne.
They
that's a good
hold
place to leave
options
it. Let's
against.
get
Yeah,
some
that's
time
what I
to
kind of
with
mean.
Sanctuary Wealth
Okay.
Chief Investment Strategist Marianne Bartel.
So
Let's
it's
get
an
a check on the
options.
stock market right now. We're just over 8 minutes into the session. You can see pretty quiet at the index level. Once again, the
Like the
S&P 500
SPX?
higher by just about 1/10%.
There's a lot of guys here that trade
split of
options.
gainers
Is there
versus
anyone out
losers.
there
You can see
that
you
can
have more
chime
than
in?
200 names in the green right now.
This
Slightly
isn't
more in the red. It's interesting the fight that's going on in the tech
option-backed
sector
leverage
right now,
funds,
because
high
up at the
maintenance,
top
which is
leading
how they
names,
can
you've got
offer.
Broadcom,
Okay,
higher, up by
yeah.
about 2.7%. Microsoft,
So this
Amazon,
sounds like
Alphabet,
really
Meta,
high risk.
Tech having a good day, but then you take a look at the downside. It's going to be hard for the S&P 500 to get much higher right now when you have Nvidia off by about 4/10
So
of a
do you
percent.
buy
Not a
shares,
huge
or
decline,
is
but we're
it
talking
like
about
you
the biggest
you take a
company
put or a
that's gonna
call,
do it. We're
or is
highlighting
it like
Johnson
a
Johnson as well.
there's a
It's
winner
up
and a loser
about
type of thing,
1% right now.
where
Let's
you
take a look at the sector breakdown. You can see that fight that I'm talking
you can
about
buy
because
shares?
tech,
Okay.
as a sector, higher by
And you can
0.4%,
also take
even with Nvidia
option
lower.
plays off it.
Communication services also rallying. Consumer discretionary.
That's
some of the biggest
interesting.
gainers today. Then you take a look at the downside, energy, consumer staples.
You know, I got to be honest with you. It sounds interesting. The options are baked into the fund, so the risk is, I don't know, man.
Struggling to
Okay, I understand what Rox is saying.
set for the all-time high where we closed yesterday, and actually making another all-time high again today. So these little tiny movements are almost.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like some coked up dude in the 80s that just fucking
as a lot of people say.
bought an original block of Apple in 1978, cashed out, and created this to fuck around with. That's what it sounds like to me. You know what I'm saying?
Not necessarily inspiring forecasts. That's next. This is Bloomberg Open Internet.
That's what it sounds like. Somebody like that bought an original block of Apple in the late 70s. He was a coked out trader from the 80s, cashed out and decided to start this shit on the side. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like it's a rug pull waiting to happen. Have you ever heard of LIDR? That's my pump stock. Yeah, I don't know, man. Honestly, Lone Wolf, I don't really have the time to go down that. I'm afraid if I go down that rabbit hole, I'm really going to get into it. And it's like trying to play golf again. Like, you can't just go out and play golf once. You got to you got to start playing every night.
I'm Alex Rodriguez. And I'm
And
Jason Kelly. And we're back.
it sounds
with more
interesting, and it
episodes
sounds
of our
like there
show.
can be an edge there somewhere, and I kind of understand what's going on. But the whole thing kind of feels like it's one hand holding the other up. And they're trying to wave cash under it while it's happening.
We're bringing you more behind-the-scenes conversations with the biggest
The
names in
inverse Kramer
sports,
fund,
business,
yeah.
and culture, like Melody Hobson.
I started to study women's
That's been a
sports
meme
like
for a while.
An 11-year-old studies baseball statistics.
He got caught hanging people out. Just one time too many, you know what I'm saying?
When you're competing, you're not thinking.
But he
about
draws you in. I
any
used to
fear
watch
or
a show a
any
long
worries of
time
what
ago. He
could
draws you
happen.
in. It's entertaining.
Can't
You know
do
what
a
I
good
mean?
deal with a bad person.
It's like you want to be part of the action. He gets you in on it. And he sounds rational too when he's explaining it. Call bias? I don't have bias. You know what bias means? Bias is FOMO. And now, hey, Lone Wolf, I'm not sure, brother.
From the beating heart of
Yeah.
global finance, economics, and politics,
Hold on, guys. I got a lead. Give me just a minute.
Bloomberg brings you conversations that allow for deep discussions and important insights. What do you think the future is for inflation? Is this a new normal? Are markets too optimistic? How do you worry about the things that are outside your control? How does the current fighting completely stop? I'm Francine Lacqua, and this is The Pulse, every weekday only on Bloomberg.
It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. We'll show you what's happening in ETFs like no one else. ETF IQ, only on Bloomberg. From the world of politics to the world of business, Joe Matthew and Kaylee Lines deliver news, insight,
All right,
and
I got this
analysis
lead
live
going.
2 times a day, every trading day. Balance of power at 1 and 5.
So what are you trying to do with it, Lone Wolf? Are you just gonna buy shares, or are you gonna play the options on it? I do a lot of research too before I jump in on. Yeah, I don't. The leveraged ETFs, yeah, I know, man. I feel like it's stuff like that is going to be part of the next bubble. Yeah. But I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to start. I understand what it is, but I'd have to do a lot of work to even figure out what the strategy might be. I hold a lot of monthly divs. So you
Welcome back to Open Interest. It's time now for
so you hold you hold shares and you take your dividends monthly? Is that what you're saying?
after the discount retailer raised its profit outlook. The analyst says it's
I mean, it's got to be incredibly high risk to be able to pay out every single week. I mean, there's got to be a lot of money moving around through it. You know what I'm saying?
Next up, Wall Street weighing in on Kohl's after the retailer raised its outlook and issued better than expected earnings.
So is it something like if you could do it in your 401k, would you hold it for 6 months, or is that like playing Russian roulette?
a rip-roaring rally yesterday. And finally,
Over
analysts at
a pit of
major Wall
vipers.
Street shops are sticking by NVIDIA after the world's most valuable company forecasted decelerating growth. You had at least 10 firms hike their price targets on the stock, including JP Morgan, Citi, and Jefferies. Shares still deciding what to do, Matt, currently down about 0.6%.
All right, so we're going to keep watching that, obviously, keep talking about it throughout the program. Another analyst bullish on NVIDIA's future is Dan Ives of Wedbush. He spoke earlier on...
I run a limit, take profit, stop loss when I buy one to limit exposure. I run a limit, take profit, stop loss. So when you buy one, what? So like, let's say you buy 10 shares, just whatever.
So it's no surprise.
And then what do? You take like a put or a call off that to hedge it? Is that the game?
Carmen Reinecke, she joins us here on set. So Carmen, he's almost always bullish, most tech firms that he covers. But, you know, the trend has been up and to the right. So can you really fight this momentum?
You know, that's a really good point, and I think a lot of Wall
So,
Street
like, let's say I had
analysts
$1,000
they're
that,
very bullish on shares of NVIDIA. You know, Kate
like,
just said,
I just want to do something in my
increase their
401k
price targets today. I
for
was just
whatever.
Looking, I mean, we have them rolling in as we're talking. Even that.
And I buy, what the hell was it? Let me pull it back. I just deleted it so I don't do something stupid screwing around with it. What was it?
So I think a lot of people are really joining in on the momentum. You know, they see a long-term case
USOY.
here for NVIDIA shares to continue to go up. And even though the earnings report might have been a little bit less than people were hoping for, they see it overarchingly as sort of a minor imperfection, a bump in the road, and something that will ultimately, you know, be worked out in the end.
Just for
USOY. So I buy,
has 44 buy ratings, 6 hold
I buy
ratings,
100
0
USOY.
sell ratings. So he has yet to meet a stock that he doesn't like. But
What's this? All right, so let's say I got 1,000 in my 401k. Charles Schwab lets me buy this nonsense.
This was a little bit underwhelming. I mean, we were speaking with Vijay Rakesh of Mizuho.
I spent $840. Now I got 100 shares. What do I do with it? How do I make money off 100 shares?
Competitive moat. It's going to be very difficult to cross.
Say I go buy 100 shares right now. What am I looking to do to make money off that?
And they saw increased demand from, you know, NVIDIA not being able to sell in China, and they still shouted out NVIDIA saying that they have the clear advantage. So you're totally right. They are, in a lot of ways, the only game in town, and I think that there's still a lot of positive things to come. I mean, we saw the news today. There was a Fox headline about potentially selling Blackwell into China. That's something people have been really excited about. I think it just shows that this is an ever-moving situation, right? Even when we get the earnings snapshot, we hear Jensen speaking. This can change day by day.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone's excited about the U.S. selling Blackwell into China, right?
That's true.
It would be a national security problem, for one thing. It's illegal right now, and they would have to pay 15% of their revenues to the U.S. government. That would be great for us, right? For all three of us, I guess we're all U.S. citizens. But they don't seem, it feels like they're kind of walking back from that agreement, at least in Ed Ludlow's interview with the CFO. And it's also not clear that the Chinese companies necessarily want to buy chips from NVIDIA. Right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the recommendation from Beijing has been to stay, you know, homegrown, use local chips. But the Blackwell really is, you know, the premier design right now. And so a Blackwell chip in China, analysts are excited about that. Investors are excited about that.
Okay, they pay weekly, and then I set the order to good till cancel. And set take profit 1%, stop loss 1%. Make sure I don't gamble too much on it. I would also set a covered call if I needed, if I had the 100 shares. All right, let me break this down because I've never done a lot with options, so this is good.
Until I see something.
This is kind of fun. This is the fun part of the channel.
CFO
All right.
pretty much show me to the.
Oh, we're getting a pullback, guys. We're getting the 950 pullback. 950 pullback.
About the legality.
So this is good. We're getting our 950 pullback right on time. Maybe we'll get organized right at 10:15, 10:30 today. All right. So I got 100 shares. I go into Charles Schwab. I buy 100 shares. Now, am I looking? So are you saying that if you own 100 shares at, well, 840, you're looking to sell those 100 shares at 1% profit?
Sales beat estimates and says demand is offsetting the impact from tariffs. Traders.
Or are you just holding it? Or are you holding those 100 shares, looking to collect the weekly dividend, and then reinvest the weekly dividend into more shares? Can you do that? I could. Okay. Why? So what are you doing with then pay weekly? They pay weekly, and then I set the order. What's 5% though? Like, what do you mean 5%? So if we buy 8 at 840, 5% at 840 is 8.40 times 0.05. It's 42 cents. So you're looking to sell your 100 shares at $8.82. Is that what you're trying to do? Does this not move very much? Well, the 52-week high is $17. We're at the 52-week low right now. Why would you not buy now and hold? We're at the 52-week low. I'm trying to I guess I don't understand the game. I don't understand the game we're playing here.
Africa.
Can we front run this? No, not yet. This is a falling knife, Hogwarts. Falling knife, guys.
Bloomberg highlights the biggest stories.
There is no front run because we haven't rotated. We're not oversold. The stochastics are heading straight down. You need them to bottom out and rotate up. And then you need the stochastics pointing. You need the stochastics pointing up in order to do the cross. You know what I'm saying? This is a falling knife, nothing here. I'll watch for the possible front run, though. I'll watch for it. I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around this futures. This feels like all right. I try to set a tolerance that allows me to hold for the dividends play to make the weekly income. Okay, so you're not willing to take a loss on your 100 shares then, are you, to collect the dividends? Because even if you take a loss on the 100 shares, you're still collecting the dividends, aren't you? So let's say you buy at 840, but I could give a fuck less if it goes to $6. I'll just dollar cost average in for more. I'm still collecting dividends, right?
I was paying attention to Five Below, and look at that. They're up 4%. Not that it matters. Victoria's Secret up 9% as well, but even those two together aren't enough to outweigh.
Is that correct?
Nvidia, and then Best Buy is falling. Dick's Sporting Goods.
You just don't want to take a loss on your initial investment. You just want to collect dividends on the upside. You don't.
With Bloomberg Intelligence senior retail and consumer analyst Lindsay Dutch, and we'll start with Best
Okay.
Buy, since we have the
So if I bought
move
100
there.
shares
Beat estimates when it comes
and it goes to $6, I might as well just buy another 100 shares and average into $7.
tariffs here.
But I'm still making weekly dividends.
When it comes to how they're actually navigating some of those.
Yeah, I'm holding the moon bag, Mr. Steakmeister.
Thank you for having me.
Like on this one, if you ask me, I'm like, I won't sell under $25.
Best Buy is doing a great job managing the cost side.
I'm in for 73 cents. I'm in for 73 cents at.
So how is the consumer going to react?
I'm in for 73 cents at 61,000 shares.
Point for this type of a retailer.
Okay.
What
Hold on.
could those higher prices impact on that holiday season, especially in some of the weaker categories?
So, what are the weakest categories? I mean, what are the?
Hold on, I gotta get a price for this customer. Give me 2 seconds. I'll catch up, guys. You gotta give me a minute.
The two weakest categories by far for Best Buy.
Lone Wolf, I work full time from home. I have a corporate sales job, so I gotta go back and forth. Just give me a minute.
Nintendo Switch 2. We're seeing strength continue in computing and phones, and that's sort of supposed to extend into the third quarter. That big worry bead is really on that entertainment and the appliances, which, if we were to see a drop in interest rates and a pickup in the home market, that certainly would help.
Certainly would help. I think you can say the same across industries too when it comes to interest rates. But talk a little bit more about Dick's. So it did see its sales climb. It raised its outlook as well. You're not necessarily seeing that reaction in the stock right now. We also know that they're closing on Foot Locker next month. I mean, give us a pulse check here. What do you make of Dick's at this point, where they are in their story?
Yeah, so Dick's is sort of a completely different story than Best Buy, right? Best Buy is on the cusp of a turnaround. They're really looking to spur that sales growth turnaround that they've been, missing for the past 3 years. Dick's is completely on the opposite. They're coming off of strong momentum, really strong results.
Do you know what the price of 2-user desktop is now at the base level? $2,712 a year. All right.
Investors and analysts.
These people haven't paid for QuickBooks in 6 years. What do you think they're going to say after I give them that price?
Continue to strengthen in the second quarter.
They're going to go buy the scam on Amazon and then come back and ask me where their license number is. And I'm going to say, it's in India. You got to ask Prince Ububu for your license number because you didn't want to pay Intuit Direct.
Whether or not that's working.
All right,
So
let's see.
they got their regulatory approvals.
All right, let me catch up here, because I think I'm on to something with Lone Wolf here. I might see if I can buy 100 shares and play with this in my 401k if it'll let me. So I got to get my mind wrapped around this. Where do you? All right, let me go to Stakemeister. Where do you think LIDR can go to? I'm holding the moon bag, Stakemeister, but I got a really good entry, okay? So my entry on LIDR, I'm already at like 300%. 250, 300%. So I'm not going to let my entry go. And they're going to be in profit first quarter next year. And they've got the best LIDR. Oh yeah, I have Discord, Lone Wolf.
Lindsay, thanks very much. Lindsay Dutch joining us there from
Discord's at the top. Just click on it and you can join, man. I'm building it out. I only started it last week. I'm going to get more info. I'm going to try and add something to it every day until I got it filled out with information. So, yeah, Stakemeister, I'm holding to the moon, man. I think this is going to be the premier autonomous vehicle / everything else camera, LiDAR. LiDAR is like radar system. They have the best technology. They're integrated with NVIDIA. I mean, it only goes up from here. So for me, I can't lose where I'm at. And I think it's holding $3 just fine. So that's my deal. I'm a moon guy. I might as well be on Reddit right now when I talk about LiDAR. I'm diamond hands. All right, let me go to Spiznik. You do it for the premium of the contract. The 850 contract is worth more than the 9, for example, because it's closer to 840. The premium is the time value till expiration. Lone Wolf is talking about selling calls on dividend stocks, and dividends help to offset any loss if the stock goes down while you hold. What's the stock I'm in now? LIDR is like my, it's like my golden ticket stock. It's like, it was one of my prospects that worked out, and I added to it early. Lone Wolf, I've been holding XYLD. Maybe I'll try to get 100 shares and sell calls on it. I work from home. Discord, I showed you where Discord is. Join the Discord, dude. So I am in Yield Max in my IRA, by the way, so I know they trade in a retirement account.
GDP growth rate.
Did you trade today? Banana Hammock, how you doing? Big Banana. No trades yet today. We're waiting.
Hard time seeing the benefits of tariffs. They do tend to be inflationary.
Yeah, the link for Discord's at the top. It looks like everyone joined that wanted to. Okay.
On economies is probably the greater downside.
For some reason, I'm not getting this. For some reason, I don't understand.
Be the consequence for U.S. markets.
You do it for the premium of the contract. So when you buy shares, is it a contract or do you own shares of something? This ETF. like if I physically go buy it for $8.40 and I own it, what do I own? Do I own anything? Or am I buying a contract that expires and I have to sell, or does it roll over like the S&P 500 contracts, like the futures contracts?
News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. An investigation into yesterday's deadly shooting at a Catholic school in Minneapolis has kicked into high gear. Correspondent Scott McFarland says it's focused on 23-year-old Robin Westman's possible motivation.
The police now shifting their investigation into the writings from what seems like the shooter's journal that includes sketches of a church and rows of pews. Police say the shooter appears to have timed a YouTube video to post yesterday. It's under review by the FBI.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry zeroed in on gun control on CBS Mornings.
The shooter from yesterday had a whole heap ton of guns. Why? Why is it necessary that you should be able to buy not just one gun, but like a gun every single month?
An 8-year-old and a 10-year-old were killed in a school chapel, 17 other people injured, before police say Westman died by suicide in the parking lot. The health secretary speaking out after the White House dismissed the new CDC director, calling her out for not being aligned with the president's agenda. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s just told Fox the agency has a lot of work to do.
The CDC has problems. You know, we saw the misinformation coming out of COVID. They got the testing wrong. They got the social distancing, the masks.
He refused to get into specifics. Breaking news from Washington, where Federal Reserve
You're buying risk shares as they buy the options and hold them in the ETF. Okay.
Accusations of mortgage fraud.
Yeah, I know. I got to go watch a video. I got to do my own thing and just go watch a video on these ETFs. Maybe I'll do that. I don't have time this weekend. I got too much going on. You know what we should do? Why don't we hey, can we do this? Hey, Steakmeister, can you start a channel for options in the Discord? Lone Wolf, do you know any good links that explain options? Like explain what you're talking about. Any good YouTube links where somebody really explains these ETFs and how to play them? You know, with the puts and calls and like what you're talking about that we can drop in there, and then I'll go watch it later. And the other people, if they want to. Okay, yeah, if you could do that, if you guys could do that, that would be like friggin' outstanding, man. Because maybe that's something we can play with once I understand it. Okay, hey, can you start a channel?
Kroger says it'll free up money for lower grocery prices.
Okay, yeah, can you guys do that? No, do like what I did for trading mentality, philosophy, and common indicator explanations. Do one for ETF. What is this? ETF fund or ETF? What the fuck is? What is this called? Options. Yeah. Well. I'm really interested in this fund he's talking about, this ETF fund. What would that be? Like, just to explain what this is and how to use the options against it. Can you start like a place and then the guys can drop links so we can educate ourselves? You know what I'm saying, Steakmeister? Well, it can be both. Yeah, it can be both. So do like, we'll have a section where we can drop links and then a section to like have just chat about that, and you can do a voice call too. Maybe we can set up a voice room or a couple of them so people can hang out and talk about this stuff. Because I'm interested in learning. I'm literally working a sale right now.
archaeologist Juliette Zuniga.
Can really tell us a lot about the activity, evolution, physical characteristics of these Homo erectus individuals.
Her team also found stone tools and fossils of saber-toothed tigers and giraffes.
I think this site has huge potential. We've only scratched the surface.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Egyptian officials say archaeologists there have lifted the remnants of an ancient sunken city out of the sea off Alexandria. The excavation uncovered statues of human figures, a sphinx, an ancient dock, Roman coins, and tools. An expert at Oxford says ancient texts show Canopus was a religious
Okay,
center.
he said he.
and also
Okay,
a
so he's got
party town where all
ETFs,
sorts of
info,
licentious behavior. Deborah
options
Rodriguez,
chat,
CBS
and
News.
options call. Okay, so hey, Lone Wolf and Ronnie, if you guys can start dropping some good YouTube videos in there, and I'll spend some time going over them, and then maybe we can find a couple and we can make it like when we're waiting for a futures trade setup, maybe we can talk about this stuff so we're not like trying to overtrade or something, you know, give us something to do while we're waiting for the next setup. This would be really good.
Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio, YouTube, and Bloomberg Originals.
See, I'm going to be forced to quit my job so I can do a full show all day long. I can't do that. Not yet. Don't talk like that. Nobody heard me say that.
Good day. Why? Because Scarlett Fu is sitting in as my co-host. But it gets even better next Tuesday because Scarlett will be my permanent co-host on Bloomberg Intelligence. How cool is that?
I'm so looking forward to this. Thank you so much for letting me come in and hang out with you first before the official start.
Absolutely. It's fun. And there's a lot of news out there today, a lot of earnings, a lot of stuff out of Washington, D.C. We're going to have to talk to a lawyer, unfortunately, coming up as our first guest, Elliot Stein. We love him, but we don't like to talk to lawyers unless we have to. I think we have to today. There's some news coming out of Washington, D.C. Matt Stuckey is going to join us. He's the chief portfolio manager covering the equity business for Northwestern Mutual Wealth Management. There, get his thoughts on these markets. We had some more tech earnings last night, HP and Dell. So we'll check in with Woo Jin Ho, which covers all that stuff for Bloomberg Intelligence. And then Dan Morgan, senior portfolio manager at Synovus, on NVIDIA earnings, tech earnings, and just kind of, can you still play this AI story going forward? So we got a lot coming up, but let's kick it all off. Elise Mateo, any Bloomberg Business.
You got it. And still kind of a fairly quiet morning. This is stock showing little movement. Investors shifting their focus to the data. And we did have more of that. It showed the U.S. expanded in the second quarter, slightly faster pace than initially estimated. Inflation-adjusted GDP had increased at a 3.3% annualized pace. It comes ahead of the release of the PCE price index tomorrow. Separate data, well, we go into initial jobless claims, which edged down last week to 229,000. All that said, we have the NASDAQ up 0.1%, 27 points. The Dow off about 0.1%, down 61 points. The S&P 500, little change, down about 3 points. In the yield space, the 2-year at 3.64%. That's up 3 basis points. The yield on the 10-year, 4.23%, and that is little change. We have the Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index. That's down about 0.2%. NVIDIA shares, they were edging higher at the open. There was that news from Fox that NVIDIA is in talks with the Trump administration about selling the Blackwell chips to China and giving the U.S. a cut. But now those shares are shifting back lower. They're down more than 1.5%. We'll stick with tech. Let's go to Snowflake. Their shares up 18%, boosted its full year profit revenue guidance. Then we go to HP, that ticker HPQ. Their shares up nearly 5%. Profit outlook for the current quarter, well, it was in line with expectations. And finally, we'll take you to CrowdStrike. Those shares up about 1.5%. It gave an outlook for the third quarter revenue that was weaker than expected, but those shares are higher right now, up about 1.5%, like we said. For on-demand news, 24 hours a day, subscribe to Bloomberg News Now. Wherever you get your podcasts, I'm Lisa Mateo. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash. Paul and Scarlett.
All right, Lisa Mateo, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Let's take a look at some of the stocks on the move today. I'm Paul Sweeney alongside Scarlett Fu, and we're joined by Bloomberg's Christina Aquino. Christine, what are you looking at?
Well, we have to take a look at NVIDIA, Paul, of course. And Lisa gave us some of the headlines already, but yes, those shares, again, edging lower here, minus 2% now.
So the best way, sorry guys.
Let's recap.
What's up, J-Do? J-Do's an ETF guy. J-Do does them on his phone. J-Do would be into this. He might be able to help us out too.
That is actually in line with
power went out. Didn't hear if you responded or not.
very very lofty expectations, and that number is actually lower than
Yeah,
some of the top
Rox.
end
Yeah.
forecasts, right? And
We
the
just
data
set
shows
up.
revenue
I don't know if you heard, but we set up
41.1 billion,
Discord
nothing to
for
scoff at,
options.
absolutely, but still slightly
So
below
we're
the
gonna
average
start
estimate.
collecting
And of
some
course, Lisa mentioned
information
as
there,
well,
and I'm
the
gonna
latest
start just
news
trying to
is the
figure out how it
potential for
works.
the company
And
to
then
sell
maybe
back while
I'll play
AI
around
trips to
with some
China
stuff,
and
you know,
then
1,000 or
give the US
2,000
capital
bucks
sales.
in my
We did hear from
401k just to
Colette Kress yesterday in an
Um,
interview saying that the U.S. government hasn't even
just to try and figure out how it
how they
works.
will put those regulations in place and what the structure is going to be so that the chip
So
makers
the
can make
best way
payments.
to hold
That is
these
very
is
much
they have
still
a
up in
bullish
the air.
side
So all
ETF and a
questions
bearish side
around
ETF.
how
So
that's
they
gonna play out
play.
probably weighing on the shares today as well.
So they weigh
And
to.
you're also looking at
So the way to
CrowdStrike,
play
very
them
different story
is
there.
That's
at
right,
your own
Scott.
risk,
So
but
CrowdStrike
leveraging them
actually
using
recovering
calls or
from some
puts
of its
against the.
opening declines. So ticker
I
CRWD
kind okay. I
shares
kind
are
of
now
get.
up slightly,
Okay.
0.9%. Earlier that was in the
This
red.
is
And
like
we
a
did get
3D
their third quarter
fucking
revenue forecast.
crypto
Slightly
chess
below
match
estimates,
waiting
but,
for the
it
rug
is
pull.
mostly
All
in
right,
line,
I get it.
1.21 to 1.22 billion.
Yeah, long.
forecast
Oh,
for
front run.
third
The front
quarter.
run
We're
for the
also
long.
looking at
Yep.
a
So if you wanted to front
2026
run the long,
estimate, that is
I
right
would
around
get in.
expectation
I'd get in at the
475
50.
to
Sorry,
481
Hogwarts.
billion.
So
Bloomberg Intelligence,
like,
though,
if you
sounded
wanted
a
to
bit
do the
more
front run,
cautious on that stock. So they're saying that their softer new
it's
annual
too early for
recurring
me. I got
revenue growth
fucker.
might
Mother.
actually be
Fuck you.
reflective
All
of
right, hold on.
slower or limited customer additions, and that could
Yeah,
limit
strategies.
the
Any.
point
Yeah,
at which they
we'll
could grow
get it
because
organized
new
once
customer
it's in
gains
there.
is just slowing.
But anything that can logically walk through the
Best Buy,
steps of
so
knowing
those
nothing
shares ticker
to like
BEY
understanding the
stemming those
concept
opening declines.
to
That's now down
strategies
more than
to
3%.
stuff that
So
people
again,
are
Best
doing
Buy
and
reaffirming their
examples,
comparable
that would
sales
be
forecast,
awesome.
but that's not a good
Because
news
that's
for
basically what
investors
I'm going to
because
do
other
for the
retailers like
forecast and
Kohl's, for
futures is
instance,
the same thing with,
lifted their
I just got to
outlook. And of
take
course,
the
we
time to
did
fill
hear
out the
again a
data.
line about tariffs. They're saying that tariffs will
And
continue
I'm
to
going
weigh
to
its
punch the
business,
fucking
especially
programmer
ahead
right in
of
the
the
throat
crucial
right now because I'm trying to set this
holiday
up for
shopping
Hogwarts.
season. One silver lining for
And
Best Buy is
I really
releases like the
really
Nintendo
just need to
Switch
step
2
up and pay
that helped offset some of the drop in home theater
and
equipment
quit talking about it
installations
like
and
a
all that
bitch.
stuff. And of course, their sales
Put
growth
your money
snapped a streak
down,
of 14
you
straight
bitch.
quarterly declines.
All right, so if you're going to front run
wonder
the
whether
EMA
this is
cross
a pause or
Hogwarts,
this is an actual true turn.
We saw some Dollar General, some of the other off-price retailers doing pretty well.
Unbelievable.
People are still spending, I guess, but spending.
I tell you what, there's been a lot of stuff testing my patience the last 2 weeks, and I really haven't lost my mind too bad. Bugatti sent me over the edge, though. I got to be honest. Anyone who listened to that,
I just click a button.
I almost should clip that.
Christina Aquino, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Actually,
No, I'm not going to clip that. I'm not too proud of that. So right here, you see the EMA cross Hogwarts, but you want to be in down here. You don't want to be in at the top of this candle. So when you're trying to catch the front run on the EMA crosses, you want to be in down here.
And for more conversations like this, subscribe to our Stock Movers Reports. Listen for 5-minute audio reports on the biggest winners and losers in the stock market. Subscribe to Stock Movers on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen. Well, Scarlett, I guess more news coming out of D.C. We got to stay on top of this. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook filed a lawsuit challenging President Donald Trump's attempt to fire her over claims she lied on mortgage applications, kicking off a historic fight over independence of the U.S. central bank. So
they
that
haven't
means we
even
have to talk to a lawyer.
All right.
And
An in-house lawyer.
Yes, an in-house lawyer, and we happen to have those in Bloomberg Intelligence for just such an occasion. Elliot Stein joins us. He's a litigation analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. So, Elliot, I guess the question is, okay,
Okay, so let's see. I will try to, yeah, that would be awesome, and then I'll try and get it organized. So what I'd like to do is see the same thing I'm going to do for the futures. So do you see, where's Hogwarts? Okay, Hogwarts. Do you kind of see? You see how we're getting a hammer back? So if you want to go long, you know, my zone, my entry zone would be here. First target would be somewhere in here.
Court has to decide.
Right.
I think the trial
second
court
target.
decide that issue relatively quickly. In terms
You know,
of
if you were getting froggy, you're
timelines,
looking up here for the second
probably
target.
within a month or
Entry, first target, second target.
Within a month or so, there's a September.
You know, or you
17th
could even move the entry up a little bit, but you don't want to be in at the top of the candle.
Yeah, I mean,
Unbelievable.
There's a chance that she asks for clarity from the court.
Hold
even
on.
Faster than a month, with that September 16th or 17th.
Sorry,
date-
16th, yeah, decision on the
date in
17th.
mind.
There must be
but,
something
in
froggy
my
going on
mind,
because
the
usually when the
critical date
data
is
feed is
February,
kind of crazy,
not
it does this the
September
worst.
16th. Because September 16th, you know, she's only one vote out of 12 on the FOMC. last time in July, you only had 2 dissenting votes, so it's unlikely that her one vote would make all that much of a difference in September. But
This
in
dude will be
February,
like, well, it's not doing it
that's when
on
the
my
Federal
computer.
Reserve Board
That's what that dude
gets
will
to
be like.
reappoint or block the reappointment of the regional reserve bank presidents who rotate onto the FOMC. So if she's not on the board in
All
February,
right, so
President Trump has
I'm
a much
liking
more
the entry
favorable,
here.
Stack of governors
Or
on the
maybe
Federal
off
Reserve
this
Board
trend,
who
these
could block
historic
the
line,
reappointment of regional bank,
Hogwarts,
Reserve Bank
like right here.
presidents.
Maybe even, I might even like go up to here right now.
Sympathetic
Like
votes,
if you can be in anywhere in this zone, I think you're safe.
Man, you can get cynical when you want to.
With a reasonable stop loss. If you still want to front run, but you got to watch your stochastics too. If your stochastic crash, you got to make sure we don't break through the VWAP. So you got to understand what it is you're doing. Like if you got in right here in the zone, see it hit my zone a little bit, that would be okay. You're going to try and go to this zone and take profit, and then you want to consolidate above here to go to the next zone.
Number one,
Okay, so Hogwarts is long.
restriction even constitutional?
Okay, give me a second,
President
guys.
Trump's going to argue that it's not. The Supreme Court indicated in May that for the Federal Reserve Board, it likely is fine. Assuming it's constitutional, what constitutes cause, right? There are other statutes.
Hey, who was it that came in Discord? Rari, R-Y-R-Y, that needed indicators. Are you out there? Who was that?
Okay, so now let's say we know what cause means. Then we have to determine.
Because some of you guys got different
her
names,
conduct
and I don't know them all yet.
Allegations of her conduct rise to that level of cause. Okay, let's say we get an answer on that. Then the question is, who even makes that determination? President Trump will say, "This is for me to decide, me, the president, not the courts." So that's going to be a huge issue. And then the last question is, okay, let's say she was removed improperly. What's the remedy? Does she get reinstated, or does she just get back pay, and forward pay for whatever she would have served out? So there's so many interesting questions. I think on most of those, the Supreme Court gave us a hint in May that they value Fed independence, and
hold
so
on.
they will side with Cook on some of those issues.
So I believe she's filing this lawsuit in her personal capacity. So how does the Federal Reserve respond as an institution? What does the General Counsel for the Federal Reserve say or do here?
That's a great question. Probably they don't say anything. But interestingly, I was just looking at the complaint. The other members of the Federal Reserve Board, I believe, are named as defendants as well. So it's not just President Trump.
Oh, interesting.
I think Powell and the rest of them and the board itself maybe as well. So I'm not sure exactly what the angle is there. Probably trying to, from Cook's perspective, reach a result where if there is a court ruling, the Federal Reserve Board and Powell have to abide by it and reinstate her if that's what the court rules.
All right, Elliot. I mean, I think we're going to be talking to you going forward. But all I know is I'd hate to be on the Fed right now. It's a kind of a boring job. I don't get paid a lot of money. Maybe I get a trip to Jackson Hole every year. But now I got the president going through all my closet.
All right.
Out in the political spotlight.
So, all right, Steakmeister, be careful, because if we break through this VWAP, we could we could roll over for good. So you want to be careful here. If you're taking heat and if you didn't get to break even with any green.
Fight over independence of the U.S. Central Bank. Coming up, we're going to talk about some of these tech names with Woo Jin Ho.
So what I would do right now is if you get green, I would either only leave one contract on, or I'd get, I would be careful. I would just be careful. If you have an opportunity to get out at break even or a couple of ticks, you can always re-enter. This is where you manage your trade. Because when you're front running, sometimes if you front run too early, you haven't seen the real liquidation yet. You know what I mean? Maybe there's got to be some more liquidation before we move higher. So just let me know how you're managing that trade. You don't necessarily need to hold it to Valhalla, and you shouldn't worry about if it takes off. If you get out at break even, you have to manage. You have to it's more important to think about managing the trade than it is, am I going to make $1 million or am I going to go to Valhalla? Does that make sense? Now, I drew this out for Hogwarts. I didn't have any intention of getting in just yet, but he wanted to take the front run, which was here. And hopefully we hold the VWAP. Are you still in it, Hogwarts? Which this could be a liquidation and a bounce off the VWAP, and then we could go right for my zone, you know, but if you're taking a little bit of heat right now. Yep, I know. Just kind of think about what I'm saying and manage your trade, because you should be coming back to break even here real quick. Because right now the 20 EMA is showing as resistance, not as support. Okay, did you get out break even? Where did you get out at? Even if it was a little loss, it's a win. Perfect. Beautiful. Good. Perfect. Yep. Perfect. Good. All right. So now you can wait for the confirmation and decide if you think that the front run is still valid and maybe get a better entry, or maybe we're going to roll over and go short. So now that you're in a good position to make a new decision. You know what I'm saying? What is this that you're trading? This is the NQ futures. This is the NASDAQ future contract. MNQ and the NQ. Yeah, no problem, brother. That's why I'm here. All right, so now, okay, so you got a big wick up. So now you got to decide, where do you want to re-enter this if you think it's going to go long, or are we just going to bounce? Or are we just in a range? You know what I'm saying? Well, I was talking earlier about we're doing prop firm accounts. This isn't real money. We're trying to earn prop firm accounts. We're trying to pass evals. That's what we do here. I don't know if you were here. I was talking with who was here earlier that went to bed. I don't know if you heard any of that. I can go over it again. Give me just a minute. Yeah, but just hold on. Wait for your re-entry. Don't get FOMO. Okay, you didn't know if it was going to do that or not. Okay, give me a minute. I'll explain what we do here. Hogwarts, don't get FOMO. Wait 2 or 3 candles and see what happens. This could still roll over. Just wait. Don't let FOMO. This is where you get yourself chopped up. Okay. In the Discord, we do right now. Lilu has a great program for prop firm accounts.
And the S&P 500, little change down about 2 points. In the yield space, we have the 2-year 3.64%. That's up 2 basis points. The yield on the 10-year 4.23%, and that is little change. We have Brent crude at $67 a barrel. That's down about 0.7%. Moving over to spot gold, up 0.3%, $3,409 an ounce. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index, that's down about 0.3%. Bath and Body Works, their shares are down this morning about 6.5%. Profit miss expectations for the first time since 2020. It's kind of showing that its CEO has this big turnaround challenge ahead of him. Who is making a good turnaround? That's Victoria's Secret. Their share is up 4%.
So, okay, preparing for a short. So Ronnie thinks it's going to short.
To focus on that young adult pink brand, the bras, the beauty. So it looks like that.
I don't.
And then you have shares of discount retailer Burlington Stores.
See, this is the problem, Hogwarts. The price is below the VWAP on the ES. The price is below the VWAP on the ES. So it has to go through the VWAP, and the price is on top of the VWAP on the NQ. So this is VWAP chop mode. So this could chop in this range from the 200 to this resistance line until it breaks and the ES and NQ become consolidated and going in the same direction. So I wouldn't do anything right now. I wouldn't.
Does this for a living. Matt Stuckey.
No, that's not how it works, Lone Wolf. Give me a second. I'll explain it. Give me just a minute.
Scarlet, pound for pound, in my opinion.
So well, it's not a divergence. It's just we're not organized.
There's something in the water.
The market isn't organized yet. So we need to confirm ES and NQ that are going to go in the same direction from the VWAP. Because the ES looks like a short right now and the NQ looks like a long. You know what I'm saying? They're opposing, the chart is giving you opposing signals. And they need to be organized, running in the same direction.
Some bullish positioning, burning off a little bit.
Does that make sense? That's why I watch both.
What was announced last night and how the tone of the
yes, they need to both confirm below the VWAP, and we need to have our setup happen, or they need to both confirm above the VWAP and have a setup happen. That's what I'm waiting for. But this is what can happen in VWAP chop mode. You got a perfect front run here, but it was fake because the ES was below the VWAP and the NQ was above. You know what I'm saying? See, the ES was down here when that signal happened. And you were above the VWAP right here during that signal, which I didn't have time to check that for you. I just drew it out so you could see. So right now, we need to confirm up in this zone to go higher, or we need to confirm below here to go lower. So we got to clear this range before we can make a decision. So honestly, probably, yeah, honestly, up here, we need to be up here.
Sales to that country.
So we need to like confirm to go higher from this zone or go lower from this zone in order to have a trade that doesn't involve consolidation and chop around the VWAP.
Are people just looking for something to worry about when it comes to China?
Yeah, box is on, but the box won't turn off for VWAP chop. I haven't programmed that in yet. But that is going to happen when I have it reprogrammed. It's going to check the ES and NQ to make sure they're on the same side. If they're not, it'll be gray. So that's coming. I mean, in the next reprogram, that's coming. That'll be the final. Well, it may not be the final one, but that'll be the next one I add to it. Because it's super important. Because if you're only looking at one chart, you won't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened, is you didn't know and you got a perfect setup. Yeah, see what I mean? That's what I was worried about. That's why I told you to get to break even.
Domestic purchasers to kind of rely on NVIDIA chips versus domestic chips.
Yes, that's why we got out. Yep, absolutely.
That arrangement for 15% or so of the revenue that NVIDIA is selling into China to find us back to the U.S. And so there's some question marks about the function of when that's going to happen. But as you look forward, I think that there's probably a path forward for NVIDIA to start to penetrate the Chinese market.
All right, Matt, for you guys at Northwestern, how do you broaden out kind of the AI
All right.
play?
Yeah, so yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a bounce off the 200, but even if we bounce off this 200, guys, we need to confirm we need to confirm way up here to go higher. Unless you're going to play this range. You see this zone here. See, if you went higher, this would be your first target. But you wouldn't enter until here to go here. You want to enter from here to go lower.
Back all the way to January.
You know what I'm saying?
When DeepSeek kind of came into.
So if you entered here, your first target would be right here to go lower. Now, unless you're a range trader. Now, if you're a range trader, you can play that range.
500 sell up by 4% or more. There were industrial names in that.
So this would be your tight first target. This would be a pretty tight first target.
These are areas that are indirectly benefiting from the ongoing.
I don't play the chop. I'm not a range trader. Yep. I only play the direction change and momentum.
In terms of how you think about
I don't play the chop. I wait till we're through it. So we need to confirm here to go lower to first target, or confirm here to go higher to this target. So this would be target one higher, target one lower.
But there's a lot of lofty expectations built in, certainly when it comes to those big cap tech names.
We're not playing in between.
Yeah, I think estimates have been rising. That's a good thing, not a bad thing, as it relates to kind of how equities respond on a go-forward basis. However,
okay, I got rid of that lead. I'm good. So let me go back. I'm trying to catch up with Lone Wolf here. So hey guys, Stakemeister started us. What news page do you use? I use. And when the new program comes out, it's going to have the news built right into the strategy, so you see it in the corner. Like when you load the strategy, the news countdown and the news will be right on it.
So,
by
I
the way.
think if you're an investor here, having a little bit of diversification
But,
makes a lot of sense.
so I use
It's still an
Financial
investment in
Juice.
something. And so
Let
if
me
you're
show
looking
you.
for defensive parts, maybe taking some chips,
Financial
you will
Juice.
look to that area of the portfolio to put some capital to work.
And this is where I track the news.
Appreciate it as always, Matt Stuckey,
The whole news feed. You can custom make this for like news you want to see, news you don't need to see.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin via that Zoom.
I had it pretty kind of fine-tuned. I mean, I could probably spend more time tuning this in. There's probably a lot of stuff we don't really need in here. But it gives you a good idea of what's going on if you just breeze through the articles. And then you get the countdown, like pending. All right, so we got natural gas. Natural gas has dropped at 10:30 just now, but that's a nothing burger.
PCs are not dead.
Then we got Kansas Fed Manufacturing and the Composite Index at 11, but that's usually
because of the
nothing.
Tariffs, people were going to curtail spending on PCs. That's where the source of the upside was in the quarter. And
Yeah, I don't play the
was,
range.
resilient for PCs, and the outlook reflects that as well.
Okay, the PC's business is not dead, but the printer business, how's that doing? Because for HP, that
I wish
part of the business
LIDR
is
would just
struggling. I
like
see
get
their
on
sales
with
fell
it. So
4%,
if I could
investments
cash out
dragging on profitability, how closely
and take
tied
that
is
cash
to the
and
PC cycle?
Yeah, hey, Scarlett. So in
I could just
terms
do this
of,
full time.
In terms of the margin, I think margins came in around 17.9%. They were consistently delivering around 19%. There's a couple of competitive factors happening on the printer market. Mix was one of them. I will tell you one thing though. If it's going to be a higher mix of hardware, I would prefer it. So if you think about
All right, let me get this set up, then I got a phone call, guys.
analogy, the more hardware that you sell, especially in the back to school era, you are
So,
going to actually sell the margin-rich supplies. Think about
Lone
the
Wolf
paper.
needs
So you are
needs
gonna
to
start
talk
seeing
about
margins
how to
back
get
next
started
quarter.
doing what we're doing on the screen.
But,
So
to
when
your
I
point,
get off this call,
it is in a
I'll
secular
go through that
decline,
with you.
and,
How
do
to
think that they'll be
like
able to
if you
hold
want to
the
check
margin,
out
but
the
it's only
Lilu
gonna
link
be,
on what a prop firm
declining
is,
at around 1 to 2%
and
range.
we use I use NinjaTrader. You know, you don't have to, but if you want, I can help pretty much with anything if you have NinjaTrader.
Of its products sold in North America.
Look at this.
Man, that was quick.
I don't understand why it's so bad today.
That seems like a pretty outstanding move. Did that help them a lot?
Yeah, they've been trying to make this move for a couple of quarters now, and they've really executed well. If we reflect back in the last quarter, they actually guided down significantly because of the tariff exposure. And I think the big takeaway here is that those moves in the supply chain, moving roughly 80% of their PC exposure outside of China to almost all of it to Mexico, Thailand, and less tariff.
All right, so this is where we're at.
Over
We
the
need to
last
confirm
year.
above
So
this to go higher,
fairly
confirm here
impressive. They
to
should
go
be
lower.
outside of China entirely.
That means a
That's
candle
not
has to
happening,
open and close
over the next
inside
couple
the
of
zone
days.
or
So,
lower, open and close
as long
above
as
the
we don't
zone or
play,
higher.
we don't continue to
And
play
then
that
we can
tariff
start
risk,
considering a
we'll be
trade.
okay on the tariff front.
Let me clean this up. Financial Juice. I'm sorry. Let me go back to NQ.
PCs are not dead. What about Dell?
Sorry.
Because
Let me
Dell
show
will be
this
reporting
again.
results after
So we
the
need to
close tonight. And of
confirm
course, all the
here to
excitement
go
is on
higher,
the
or
AI
confirm
server
here,
shipments, but in
open and
terms
close
of
to go
the
lower.
PC cycle still being
And
alive, being resilient,
that's what I'm waiting for.
how
I'm
does
going to
that
wait for
play out
one
for
or the
Dell?
other.
Yeah,
I'm on the
so,
NQ now. I'm
a
sorry.
couple of things here. I do think
I'm on the
it is a good
NQ.
reflection on Dell in terms
So
of
that's
at
what
least
I'm waiting for.
stabilizing, the PC
Confirm
business.
here,
Keep in mind that both
open and close to go lower.
HP
Confirm here,
and
open
Dell
and
are
close
benefiting from the Windows 11
to go
product cycle.
higher.
Dell is more
With the
commercially
forecast
aligned. Roughly 80% of their PC sales are in the commercial space.
lined
so
up.
if HP is benefiting from Windows 11 upgrades, Dell should
And we're all tuned
benefit as
up
well.
here, ready
Now,
to
the
go.
one caveat is that the one area
All right, when
that
I got to
has
take a
come
call,
up
I got to do a
is
sales call.
on
When I
the
get
consumer
back,
PC front. So
I'm gonna
really
go
interested to hear what
over
they'll say on the consumer side,
how a prop
especially
firm
given that there were
works
some management
for
changes there
Lone Wolf.
in the past quarter.
Lone Wolf, if you want to go in Discord and check out the Lilu trading site, if you have a Lilu subscription, you'll get the NinjaTrader license for free
Fairly straightforward.
and the
Google
data
AI
feed
server
for free.
game.
So you get like 10 right now. You get 10 evals for $40 for a month, and you don't have to pay for anything else. But you got to understand the 3 steps to the program.
Now keep in mind that's
All right, guys. We're tagging this, but it doesn't mean that we're going to go higher. This is like the golden ticket candle that can trick you. So we need to confirm and know that we've cleared this consolidation chop level and that we're moving higher for the day. All right, I'll be
said
back, guys.
Last night, I mean, it's not far, it's not far out that they may be able to deliver on that $20 billion. But we'll see what they have to say tonight.
Very quickly, who's the biggest competitor then when it comes to perhaps Dell not winning the AI server game?
Oh, you're backing me into Super Micro.
Super Micro. There you go.
Super Micro. They actually have larger AI sales than Dell does, but Super Micro would be the biggest competitor there.
All right, Wooj, thanks so much for joining us. Woo Jin Ho, he's a senior tech analyst, Bloomberg Intelligence down there in Princeton, New Jersey. We got, again, HP out with some numbers, and then Dell after the close give us another data point for the AI trade.
Yeah, and Supermicro, apparently, if you don't want to be buying into Dell, or you have some doubts about Dell's capability.
Yep, I just saw that Michael Dell, he's only 60 years old. I mean,
really?
Yeah. I kind of, for some reason, I thought he was older.
Because he's been in the news for so long.
That's right. He's been around forever, been so successful with this company. We'll have more coming up. This is Bloomberg.
markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio, I'm Lisa Mateo. Right now, we have the Dow down 0.2%, 110 points. The level 45,455. We go to the S&P 500. That's little change.
Okay, so be careful. We need to have a candle open and close.
That's up about a 10%.
So,
37
like,
points at 21,627.
we're still, if you look at the ES, look, we're barely over the VWAP on the ES. Okay,
and that is little change.
we're barely over
Dollar
it.
spot index down about 0.3%. Moving over to commodities, we have Brent crude $67 a barrel. That's down about 0.7%. WTI crude $63 a barrel. We have spot gold up about 0.4% at $3,413 an ounce. The Bloomberg dollar spot index.
Okay,
down
you
about
see, it's
0.3%.
still, it hasn't cleared the VWAP.
News. We'll start with Berkshire
So you want to be careful. Just because we tagged the zone doesn't mean that we're not going to come straight back. We need to confirm above it to go higher. So just, this is the golden ticket candle where you think you're going, you think this candle makes you think you're going to the moon. Me and Lord Titty covered this the other day. And it's under golden ticket trading mentality philosophy. How we talked about this candle can make you do things that you maybe shouldn't because it's just it's a fake out. Makes you think that the golden ticket's coming. So we need confirmation before the move happens. The real move may happen. So you kind of got to wait. And I also want the stochastics in my favor when I go. So I might wait for another full rotation down and have everything set and then take the long. So it's just, you just got to kind of understand those things and understand the risk that goes with, making that play.
Studio in New York City. We are streaming live on YouTube as well. The stock of the day, of course, is NVIDIA, as Lisa was just reporting. Stock's down about 1.5%. I thought that the numbers were good, particularly if you put some China revenue back in there. So it's really, that's kind of one of the big things is, when are they going to get back in China and to what degree? And I'm not sure I know more.
I don't think that they know either, and that's part of the problem, right? I mean, they struck this historic deal with the U.S. government to give 15% of sales to China to the U.S. government, but there's no, as we learned, formal writing around how that's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know, but let's assume they get back in there. I don't know. Dan Morgan, he knows this stuff, Senior Portfolio Manager, Synovus Trust, joining us here. Dan, what's your big takeaway from the NVIDIA earnings release and the conference call?
Well, I think you hit on it, Paul. I mean, there's been a lot of confusion around that guidance number, right? When it first came out, 54 billion plus or minus 2%, everyone was like, okay, well, that's kind of in line with what we were expecting. But then later they commented that that does not include potential growth in China, right? Which could be anywhere from, depending on your estimates, $2 to $6 billion on this upcoming third quarter. So now all of a sudden, when you start to lump in, oh, well, it's 54 billion and you did not include potential sales from China, then all of a sudden the number becomes really big. So I think that created a lot of confusion on the print. The other thing I noticed, Scarlett and Paul, was they came up a little bit short in data center, which is the second quarter in a row that they've done that. First quarter, they were a little short. And believe it or not, if we go back and look at AMD's numbers, which were out a couple of weeks ago, they missed in data center also. So even though it wasn't a big miss and it was still a really strong growth rate, it was kind of interesting that everybody kind of hung their hat on that guidance on the third quarter in data center, and they didn't look at all the good things that happened in gaming and networking and some of the other things. So it was kind of like, it was a glass half empty or half full. So
what about the buyback announcement? How does that, typically when you get a big buyback announcement, that leads to an immediate reaction in the share price. But we are seeing NVIDIA shares down about 1.25%. Is this not a good enough reason to come in and buy?
Scarlett, I think the buyback shows that management has confidence at the current price that the stock is going to continue to move higher. If we look at valuations on NVIDIA, again, if you look at the trailing multiples, 57 times earnings, price to book 52 times, S&P's at 25, the SOX is at 6? But you look at that forward multiple, right? 40 times fiscal year 2026 earnings. It's not excessive. And the other thing too, Paul and Scarlett, is that we're starting to see NVIDIA come down to what I would consider a more normalized growth rate for them, right? We're looking at kind of 50, 55%.
Okay, so now Now what
days
I'm
of
looking
back
at
in
here,
that February of 23
trying to get my
quarter,
trade
when they
journal
were
done
posting,
also.
200,
Um,
300% year-over-year revenue and earnings growth.
I
That's
want
probably not
the
gonna happen here in
stochastics
the
to be
next
on my
quarter or
side. So
two.
I'd
So
like to
I think the
see a little
street's
bit
just
of a
gonna have to
rotation. So
come to grips with that
as
we're gonna have a
long
bit
as
more
the
mature
the
growth
ES
rate.
is barely
But honestly,
hanging on to the
Scarlett,
VWAP.
management throwing
Okay, so see, we
confidence
just crossed
into
below.
the current
So we're
cost
still
of what
not
they
really
feel that is a
confirmed on
good
the
buy
same
here, and
side.
they're accumulating shares.
You know what I'm
Obviously, you might
saying?
have come to terms with that, Paul, but you wonder if
We're
retail
really
investors have come to terms with it.
Yep, and it's interesting, but like we've seen in the past, when there's a weakness in the market, it seems like retail comes in to save the day and buy.
Okay.
Dan, how else do you guys at Synovus play AI outside
So
of
if we go back to the NQ,
Yeah, Paul, we are involved in the group pretty heavily. We do own Intel, which has a new Jaguar Shores chip coming out. We also own AMD with the MI350. They have the 400 coming out. The one play that we don't own is probably Marvel. But obviously, through Broadcom, which is another stock that we own, we're holding stocks that are very focused in terms of the chip space in AI. And then if you kind of get away from that, you start to look at the hyperscalers, companies like Meta and all these other plays that are in the space. So we have pretty good coverage. We also own companies like Cummins and also Entergy, which is an energy company in the South that's taking advantage of the big build out of the data centers. So we have Paul and Scarlett AI trade covered pretty well. And we get a lot of requests from clients to sprinkle some AI in the portfolio.
I like that. Sprinkle some AI or douse it with some AI in this case.
Or douse it, yeah.
Dan, how are you thinking about the current earnings outlook for the hyperscalers? Now that we have NVIDIA's numbers in the book and we can kind of look ahead and anticipate what the hyperscalers will be doing next, what kinds of questions do you have in terms of their spending and what they can reasonably return on that spending?
Right, Scarlett. And the next big one to come out, which is just joined the family, is Oracle, right? They're going to report next week, or no, 2 weeks from now, I'm sorry. And they just upped their CapEx estimate to $25 billion. So now all of a sudden we put 5 of them together, including the big 4, we're at $360 billion based on their current guidance in terms of estimates for CapEx. And we expect about 60% of that CapEx dollars will go towards AI. So that's a very large number. But you're right, Scarlett. I mean, if you look at the last prints, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, they were all very strong. Alphabet. So we'd expect continued strength coming there. You have to bear in mind, Paul and Scarlett, we didn't get the big retrenchment in digital ad spend rates that people predicted after the tariff news came out. Everyone was calling for kind of a post-COVID.
all right, now I'm going to wait for the next rotation down
So Meta,
on the
Alphabet,
stochastics.
Amazon, all those guys are doing very well right now and have plenty of money to spend on
just so sticky
CapEx and
today.
AI.
Dan, where are we in this AI game here? Like, what inning do you think we're in here?
All right, I like
still
the
think, Paul, we're
ES is
around the
looking
fourth or
good,
fifth
better
inning.
now.
I mean, we're not at that beginning stage with the release of ChatGPT.
So the ES is looking better.
From Microsoft, and then followed by the big NVIDIA blowout quarter.
I like this
in
candle here. Let's see
23.
where this candle, if this
But, a
candle
lot of the big money has
stays in
moved
this zone
into this
here, we're
play
looking
over the
pretty
course of
good.
the last 2 years, the stocks
All right.
have done really well. But I still feel
So
that
I
we
just
have
need a
long ways to
rotation
go.
down from the stochastics, and I want to be on the
I've been
same
investing
side
in
of the
tech stocks since
stochastics when I
the early
take my
90s.
trade.
I've been in the business since 87.
So if you see here,
Technology
Hogwarts,
is just a series of waves. You go back
if
to
you
the
would have held
90s,
and took all this heat, you would have been right back here.
digital 2000.
You see what I mean by get out when you're even? Like it wasn't, it was chopping it, that wasn't the move. So you got out, right? And then you had to wait for the liquidation to happen and for the confirmation.
And then a new play comes in. And I
You
think the
see
new
why
play's
you
coming
got
in
out and waited? You waited through all these bad candles, and now then if you got back in, you would have been good. You kind of see what I'm saying? Or did you, are you acting on the FOMO? Get your dick beater off the mouse if you got FOMO. You got to wait.
It's really a series of waves, and you've seen some of the old school companies come back as well.
Well, not real for me. No, you're good. For me, you don't get back in until the stochastics set up, and then we look for the real long. You know what I'm saying? We're organized. We're organized above the VWAP on both the ES and NQ. Now we wait for our entry. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be cool. We got to be cool. Like from Pulp Fiction. Samuel L. Jackson is, you cool, everybody cool? You know, we just got to be cool and everything will be okay. See, now you got a fair value gap. So now I'm liking the pullback. Now that we're confirmed and we're organized, I'm liking the pullback right here. First target, first target would be, I really don't want to go very far on the first target. First target will be there. And then second target would be up here. Second target. This is your real trade. You can never have enough money to heal those problems. Oh shit, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong screen. So, okay, see the fair value gap. Yeah, I got it. So you see the fair value gap appeared. That means we confirmed above the VWAP and we have support now. So this is your entry. So I'm looking for a pullback on the stochastics somewhere in this zone. This zone could even be even lower. This zone could be anywhere in here, right? We come in here. We want to have our stochastics pull us down to oversold. Come into this zone, roll up, first exit, second exit. Hey Brian, how you doing, brother? Did you guys see that? How this is forming up? Okay, hold on. See, the ES is now challenging the VWAP, so we just got to be a little bit careful. Let's see if it holds the VWAP or not. It didn't, that's what I mean. Maybe it's not fully organized yet. That's why I'm waiting. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we gotta gap up a little bit more to build that support zone to revisit. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're trying to decide if it's ready or not. Big banana. So we're on the ES, there's no fair value gap and we're still banging off. You see, but we had good resistance. You got the 20 into the VWAP. You're starting to build support here. But you got to have the stochastics on. You see the stochastics are rolling over. You want them to come down here and roll up and take the trade with the stochastics. The NQ is starting to look a little cleaner. You see the NQ is looking a little cleaner. But we got to wait for the stochastics. The stochastics can't be backwards from your trade.
Bloomberg Intelligence with Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Scarlet Fu, Paul Sweeney live here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio, streaming live on YouTube as well. Well, you're at the end of an earnings cycle when the retailers start reporting and they finish up here with some of these smaller retailers. One of the ones I always like is Dick's Sporting Goods. Give a sense of how the sporting goods business is doing. And they reported some numbers, stock trading off a little bit here. Lindsay Dutch joins us, Consumer Hardlines Senior Analyst from Bloomberg Intelligence. Lindsay, talk to us about Dick's Sporting Goods. What did they report most recently?
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me. Yes, Dick's Sporting Goods had another strong quarter, 5% same-store growth. That's an acceleration sequentially and year over year. They're seeing strength across apparel, footwear, team sports, and golf. So a strong quarter, but the stock is trading off. And I think a lot of that is sort of a conservative outlook for the second half, with some uncertainty. And a lot of investors are still worried about the incorporation of Foot Locker with that deal to close in September.
Based stores to its network. So talk just about the Foot Locker.
Yeah, it's tough when the power goes out, man.
The Foot Locker deal is a little bit different for
So, okay, guys.
in terms of, it leans a
So
little
I'm
bit
still
more
waiting.
towards
Now, I know
lifestyle,
FOMO
rather
can
than
kick in
sport.
now
It
bad.
is a big acquisition. You're talking about adding about $8 billion in revenue. It also Foot Locker skews to a lower income consumer, and they have mall-based stores, so it's a little bit of a different animal for Dick's. You know, Dick's has proven their own turnaround over the past couple of years, and they really have strong demand with their assortment, but they're going to have to show that they can do that again with Foot Locker.
Is there a carefully articulated strategy about integrating Foot Locker into Dick's? Or I know they said that they're going to run it as separate business units, so I'm wondering what's the point of buying Foot Locker then?
So you're right, correct. They're going to keep the Foot Locker banners. They're going to keep the stores.
Okay.
As
Yeah.
a customer, you might not even know that
I got
Dick's
the
has
day
made
before
this
yesterday almost
purchase.
done.
I think the big thing for
So
Dick's
now,
is
so
it
okay, this is good
expanding,
because
you know,
we're gonna go
their
up. We're gonna
customer
double
reach,
top.
and therefore the longer term opportunity for the company as a whole. So like I said, you know, Dick's already caters
So
to more of a
if you would have held
sports
that,
focused
if you would have held this
customer,
long all
you know,
morning,
higher income
Hogwarts, you
consumer.
would have
Foot
taken
Locker
all
is
this heat,
bringing
but
a
then
whole
you'd be
nother
balling
consumer
now.
set to
You know,
Dick's,
but that's,
and they're
you
going to
know,
really try to lean into their expertise
that's
on
a gamble.
assortment, bring newness to
You know what I'm
footwear,
saying? That
bring a
ain't
little bit
always
more
gonna work
power
out
into
like
those
that.
Foot Locker stores, and they're going to try to gain market share, you know, with this broader reach.
Lindsay, what
And
are
you might have gotten stopped out because you
the
couldn't take that much
Dicks
heat.
of the
You know what
world,
I'm
the Foot
saying?
Lockers of the world, what are they saying about tariffs and how
So
much
for
they're
me,
gonna
there was no real
take the
entry. I'm
margin, how
waiting.
much they're
I'm
gonna
waiting
pass
for
on to
my
consumers?
perfect
What's
A
the
plus
because I think a
setup
lot of sneakers
to
companies
just
are
make
trying to
my money for the day without gambling.
Yes, so Dick's noted that they have seen, you know, some price increases. They sound more
Not yet. There's no
sporadic in
re-enter yet.
nature.
Not
That's
yet.
really
I'm
to
not
be
re-entering
consistent
yet.
with the
I'm
other,
calling
you
out
know,
the chart.
coverage in my
Well,
retail
there's no need to
universe.
pray
We're
because it
seeing
will.
very
The
few
setup will
retailers, you know,
come.
to take
But if it
every
goes, if it
single
leaves
item
without
up
you
by a
and you
certain
didn't have a
amount.
clear signal, what were
So
you really
the price
trading
increases
anyway?
are
You know
coming
what
in
I
more
mean?
selectively.
I mean, you've got all
They're
day to make one or
most
two
easily
trades. We
passed
don't
through
have to
to the
make it.
consumer
We
when
don't
it's
have
a
to play
new
around in this
product.
chop and hope
You know,
we're on the
something
right
that
side.
people are willing to pay up
You know,
for
because it could
anyway.
have went the other way just
So,
as
you know, they
fast.
have
You know, you
seen,
don't know. It
return
happened to
to,
work
let's
out
say,
this
a Nike,
time.
for example,
If you were
you may be able to get
hypothesizing.
that
But how
customer
much,
to just
you know,
take
you would have
on
had
that
to
price
taken
increase. In terms of
40,
margin,
30
I think
points
that
of
that'll
heat
continue. They're
almost.
still expecting
Could your
expansion
account handle
both on
30
a
points of
gross
heat?
basis and on an operating basis this year. You know, they are trying to manage
Well,
costs
we'll
as
get a
well, but
pullback,
this
so we'll
company
just
is
wait
also
for the pullback.
investing,
I mean,
opening new stores,
you know what I'm saying?
and
We
so
don't,
that is
there's no
adding, you know,
hurry.
additional cost pressure, not just on the product side.
You don't,
So,
the
Lindsay, I gotta ask you
stochastics
about
have to
Best Buy
roll
as well. The
back.
stock is down
The
more than
stochastics
6%
have to
in
roll
early
down.
trading.
You can't, you
Even
can't
though
go
the
long
second
now.
quarter did beat analyst estimates, and the company ended 14 straight quarters
Yeah, that's what I'm
of
saying. We're
quarterly
just going to
sales
sit and
declines.
be comfortable
What
and
has
wait for the
investors
pullback.
disappointed?
And then we're going to make
I
sure
think
that
the
it's
real
not a
bright
reversal,
for
and
Best
then we'll get in
Buy
on our
is
long and
demand
try
for
and
the
make a little
second
money,
half. So
you know,
even
and we'll
this
manage our
year, you know,
trade.
just for the first 8 months of the year has been a little bit of a wild
You know,
ride for
because
Best
were you
Buy.
really going to
You know,
take
the
25 or
beginning,
30 points of
positive
heat
demand momentum,
hoping for a
things were
possible
looking
long?
good. You know, then we got
You,
tariff
you know what I'm
announcements.
saying?
We
You
had to roll
can't,
back
you can't do
guidance.
that.
You know, there was a lot more uncertainty, and now we're flipping back with these results to more on the positive side. So I think there's concern entering the second half of the year about, you know, where demand is going to shake out. We did see strength, you know, in gaming, particularly with the Nintendo Switch 2 for the second quarter. We are seeing momentum continue in computing and phones for the third quarter. All of that is positive, but home theater and appliances have sort of remained weak for Best Buy. And that home theater entertainment category, that's a really big one for the fourth quarter.
All right, Lindsay, thanks so much for joining us there. Lindsay Dutch, Consumer Hardlines Senior Analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence. She's based down there in Princeton, giving us the lowdown on Dick's Sporting Goods, on Best Buy.
A Meister, Steakmeister, in the Trading Journal.
Foot Locker deal. I forgot all about that deal. But
Are you
that's a pretty
able
big
to
deal.
see?
They're not gonna-
I can't see like my first post. Oh, here it is. Okay, I get it. I see how it works. Sorry, never mind.
I think so.
Never
can't-
mind.
I just don't shop, dude. I mean, if it doesn't come in a package, I'm not buying unless it's like a, you know, a suit or something.
Irresistible deal.
Yes,
I
yeah.
got it.
Just, again, I'm at the point in my life I'm getting rid of things. Getting everything that comes in, two things have to go out. That's kind of how we're rolling here. All right, markets are mixed here. S&P unchanged. The Dow negative 92 points, and the NASDAQ's up 67 points. I did not get our reminder in there, but this Bloomberg Sirius XM channel 121, we're there. Thank you, Oracle.
All right.
This is Bloomberg Intelligence with Paul Sweeney.
The real outperformance.
Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, so here's our pullback. There's no trade right now, guys. The forecast box is green. That means we're only looking for longs. We only play one side so we don't get ourselves chopped up.
There is the possibility of a death spiral.
Both quantum computing and AI are going to
So,
in the future.
People are just buying everything with tech.
Bloomberg Intelligence with Paul Sweeney.
so you see the stochastics need to roll over, and we're looking real good on the ES also. So let's take a look at the ES. ES is very organized. See how we're organized? The chart looks almost the same now, right? Everything looks almost the same. We're waiting for it to get organized.
Maybe looking a little bit more for value. We'll break that
Oh,
down.
okay. Yeah, well, if you want to gamble on an eval, that's fine. Just don't make a habit out of it. You know, you'll create bad habits. If you're right a few times in a row, then you'll start doing it on your good stuff. Just make sure you got a mental box you can put the gambles in and not let it interfere with your good stuff.
And then we just kind of turn them on.
Yeah, you can't do that on a PA.
You go in there with a plan. And
I got tempted yesterday at the end of the day to take that long. I'd have been right, but the problem is I would have broke my rules, and if I was right, it encourages me to do it again, and I don't want to do that.
They are both advancing, and this update is brought to you by
All right, I got to make a call, guys. I'll be right back.
To cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. For new U.S. customers with minimum financial commitment, see if your company qualifies at oracle.com/Bloomberg. The Dow lower now by 79 points, down 0.2%, trading quite ahead of inflation data that could bring more clues about the pace of Fed rate cuts. Stocks holding near a record. In fact, we got the S&P up another 3. Any close higher today will be a record 64.84. That is a gain of under 0.1%. And we've got NASDAQ up 70, higher by 0.3%. Interestingly, the Russell 2000 index of small cap shares trading lower by 0.1%. The Mag 7 index, of which NVIDIA is a part, that index up now by 0.2%. And NVIDIA shares today, after earnings, NVIDIA right now trading lower by 1%. Investors are reacting to the latest numbers from NVIDIA. It did give a revenue forecast of roughly $54 billion for the fiscal third quarter, in line with the average Wall Street estimate, but lower than some analyst projections. Dan Morgan is a senior portfolio manager at Synovus Trust. He was a guest moments ago here on Bloomberg Intelligence.
So now all of a sudden, when you start to lump in, oh, well, it's 54 billion and you did not include potential sales from China, then all of a sudden the number becomes really big. So I think that
Take it easy, Big Banana. We'll be here when you get back.
And you can hear more of the conversation with Dan Morgan of Synovus on the Bloomberg Intelligence podcast. You can download it wherever you get your podcasts. Again, NVIDIA down by 1%. Coming up after the close of trading today, after the bell, it's Dell up now by 1%. Again, recapping, S&P higher by 2 points, little changed. And for on-demand news, 24 hours a day, subscribe to Bloomberg News Now wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie Pella, thank you so much. We appreciate that. As Charlie's just reporting, mixed red and green out there. But let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. I'm Paul Sweeney alongside Scarlett Fu. We're joined by Bloomberg's Alex Semenova. Alex, what are you looking at?
Hey guys, great to be on with you. I know that we are in the final stretch of the earnings season, but a lot of companies are still reporting results. And one of the ones that I'm looking at is HP Inc. That is ticker HPQ. It gave a profit outlook for the current quarter that was in line with expectations. The stock is up about 3.5% right now. Earnings, excluding some items, will be 87 cents a share to 97 cents a share. Analysts on average were estimating about 91 cents, so falling right in the middle of what it gave. In the fiscal third quarter ending July 31st, it reported sales climbed 3.1%. And to cope with the effects of tariffs, HP is adjusting to use manufacturing facilities outside of China for almost all of its products sold in North America. The company has also raised prices on some of its items, but investors, I guess, see the company really adapting to those tariffs given the share move.
What else is on your radar, Alex?
Yeah, also taking a look at Best Buy, ticker BBY. It also reported better than expected results in the second quarter with strong demand for gaming, perhaps offsetting some concerns about trade policies. Comparable sales rose 1.6%, beating the average estimate tracked by Bloomberg. The results suggest that Best Buy is benefiting from splashy new releases like the Nintendo Switch 2. The electronics retailer also notably snapped a streak of 14 straight quarterly sales declines. Really big milestone for them.
All right, DG, Dollar General.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one given kind of the mixed performance that we've seen from retailers. It reported stronger than expected sales and raised its forecast, adding to signs that despite all the macroeconomic uncertainty, consumers are still spending money. Same-store sales grew 2.8% in the second quarter, ahead of Wall Street estimates. Retail earnings have been kind of upbeat this month, but specifically it's the discount retailers that have been doing well as more consumers focus on saving money. The stock is about flat right now.
All right, Alex, thanks so much. We appreciate that. Alex Semenova, equities reporter for Bloomberg News, joining us live here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker studio. And for more conversations like this, subscribe to our Stock Movers Reports. Listen for 5-minute audio reports on the biggest winners and losers in the stock market. Subscribe to Stock Movers on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you listen. One of the stocks we were just talking about with Alex was Dollar General. The stock's pretty much, they reported numbers, lifted their guidance. Stock's flat today, but boy, it's up 47% year to date. So the street definitely likes what's going on at DG. Let's talk to an expert on this, Jen Bartashian. She covers all the retail stuff for Bloomberg Intelligence. Jen, what'd you take away from Dollar General's results?
Yeah, hi, Paul. Overall, the results were pretty encouraging. And we're looking at the consumer who is willing to spend selectively, and the value proposition for people who are in that discount space is really resonating. And so the tactics that the company's put in place to really improve store operations and things like that seem to be gaining traction and drawing more people into the stores.
Drawing more people into the stores and drawing people from different income strata as well. More higher income customers are coming in. So that being the case, Jen, does it need to broaden its selection of products available to customers?
Well, I don't know that they need to broaden the selection, but they need to be thoughtful about the selection that's in the stores. I mean, these are small boxes, so you have very limited space. And in order to retain those higher income consumers from middle income, high income that are coming into Dollar General, part of it is going to be making sure that there are things that are fresh and interesting, but still at very good value. And I think one of the interesting points is that Dollar General has been able to maintain a selection of things at a $1 price point. And when you think about it, their biggest rival in the dollar space, Dollar Tree, moved to $1.25 as their baseline price. So there's definitely some opportunity there to appeal to that value seeker and give them